There we go.
All right, Twitch is good. And I'm just going to keep it simple. Echo. There we go. Fixed. All right, going to keep this simple and...
Okay, let me know, and I'll get the countdown thing going.
Ready to go. We review People of Earth and The Marshal, Star Trek, Star Wars, and more tonight on The Real Super Geeks. We almost didn't do the enemy opener.
And welcome to the October 30th edition of the Real Super Geeks podcast. We, this week, featured the season premiere of The Mandalorian, so we're going to be talking about that, and as well as the latest Star Trek Discovery episode, and covering some of the other news, genre news from the week. Let's start off first by introducing our co-host, starting with me. I'm Carlos Pedraza, and also with us is our stalwart producer, Justin Burton. Justin, how you doing this week?
I think I'm doing pretty good. Okay,
now you're freaking me out. You're freaking me out. So I'm gonna move to Ross. Ross Bullock. He of the lovely voice, the sultry voice, and the eyebrows of doom. Ross, how are you doing this week?
You broke me, man.
There I am. I was stuck backstage. Doing pretty good overall. Slogged through school. Been home a lot with the little one, but overall, not bad.
Good to hear. Keep it that way. Next is a special guest. One of our, I guess the best way to refer to him is a recovering co-host, because he only joins us every now and then. That's Joe Diaz, aka Axanar Troll Hunter. And the longtime viewers know that I love his hair, and I still do.
It's amazing, man.
Joe, how are you doing? And be nice.
4.5. Great to be here.
Wow, that's a good opening. Next is our resident contrarian and occasional Star Trek Picard mascot index, and that is Sun Seal. Sun, how are you doing this week?
He gave us a bell beverage, folks.
I'm back.
You're back. Mandalorian's back, and Mr. Toadhead is back. I'm very excited to see the return of your avatar.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, the icon is so fucking small that I had to use OBS to get the bigger picture, and it's gonna flicker because it's Halloween.
It's true. Besides, which of us couldn't use the bigger picture?
That was so nice.
Thank you. And our resident, I guess the best way to call him is our provocateur, and he's known as the asshole of Axanar. That is Sean P. O'Halloran. Sean, are you wearing pants today? America needs to know.
I am, because it's cold as balls, and I don't want my balls to be cold as what it is outside right now.
Wow, cold in Las Vegas. What is that, like 75?
Well, it's 61. But actually, here's the thing. I did explain, I am like in Northwest Las Vegas, getting closer to Mount Charleston, so take about 6-7 degrees off of that. It's still chilly tonight.
It's 38 here. You suck.
61 would be balmy here in Seattle.
Okay, good point.
You mean?
Yeah.
Okay, and then my favorite person to introduce as a co-host is Lane the Pokemon Otter and his pal Travis. Hi Lane, hi Travis. Travis, of course,
hello everybody.
You may know as one of the admins of Facebook's largest Star Trek fan group. How are you guys doing this week?
I'm so happy this month is almost over, guys. I'm so happy.
I know we've all been enjoying your countdown of Star Trek's scariest episodes all month.
I'm enjoying it too, but it takes a lot out of me. And since I'm like trying to do some creative writing as well, like my brain is just completely fried right now. So
Yeah, if you're not
I'm very
exhausted
happy that
after
it-
writing, you're not doing it right. So good for you.
Hey, I want to take a big shout out right now that because I haven't done this before, and I'm going to forget if I don't do it now. I guess I just noticed that Susanna Chisholm just shared our show tonight in her group, and Susanna was a big time Axanar supporter, and she saw the light, and she has been nothing but awesome with us in Super Geeks, sharing us
We
That's
love
true.
you, Susanna.
so she's really sweet. So I just wanted to give her a big shout out. We love you, Susanna. You're great.
Thanks, Susanna.
Happy Halloween.
Are you purposefully buttering people up? Is this a
I
thing?
don't know. Must be something in the air. Let me
I'm
finish
in
with
a
our
good
last
mood.
intro, and that is, of course, you see him as Ensign Beard Fossé, but we know him as one of the OG Axanar haters, and that is Justin Kovalik. How are you, Justin? Justin. Jason. Good God.
Oh my God.
Jason. I should call you
Jesus
Jason.
Christ.
You guys, we should ship the two of you. You could be
You're
Jason.
fired.
You're
Oh.
you're in timeout.
canon.
Do you know what? Do you know
Live
why
long and
this is
prosper,
happening,
Carlos.
Do you know
Don't
why
you give
this
me
is
that,
happening, Carlos?
that sarcastic Vulcan salute.
Okay, well, Carlos, that's fine because that means he can take the blame for the blow up over the weekend. You know,
Does
that's fine.
Jason need to slap a bitch?
Oh,
Okay, Jason, how are you this week?
I'm doing good. I won our costume contest today at work with the best costume.
Nice.
You went,
What'd
as
you
I
dress up
recall,
as?
as a Jedi Knight, did you not?
I did.
Lots
I
of
saw that
peanut
picture.
M&Ms.
It's a good
You
costume.
looked great. It was a great
I had
costume.
a lightsaber. I had an R6 unit following me around the floor as I was walking around saying hi to people.
Dude.
Well,
Why are you not in
Lightsabers severed your
costume
connection
now?
to the internet.
Because it was itchy as hell, and the dry cold weather isn't doing my skin any favors.
Lotion man.
you have a full size R6 unit?
No. It was the one I got from
Itty bitty one?
Yeah.
You guys truly are nerds.
Put that on camera.
We're super geeks. What do you expect?
We are.
super
We're the
geeks.
best kind of geek.
Okay,
I
now
guess.
Justin's going insane.
Carlos.
On us. Great. Wonderful.
So, Carlos, I finally figured out why you keep confusing Jason and Justin. It's because
Oh,
Zeb's
God.
not here to be confused for you.
True. You're right. This is my revenge on white people. That's what it is.
You're white. What are you talking about?
Carlos, you ignorant slut.
No, you
should
know how I
just
know
get
I'm
right
not
into
white?
the
I have
episode.
never been let off a speeding ticket from a police officer. That's how I know.
Carlos is the worst. Okay,
You know what?
Explains.
Is that
That
is that the
that is the
criteria?
best
'Cause
part.
that's criteria.
Well, it's one of the criteria. You know, when they
That-
do that whole countdown, if you ever done experienced one of these things, bring down, you know, this and these things of privilege, and you count down if you have any. And most white people, none of their fingers go down.
I've never been
Some
let
of
off
my
a
fingers
speeding
go
ticket.
down, like getting tickets from police officers.
I've never been let off a speeding ticket.
You're
I
the
know.
worst. You are the worst.
Look,
You are the
want
worst.
to solve this. I'm going to tell you how to do it. A little trick, okay? Get yourself a goddamn minivan. That's how you solve this, okay? There's immediate sympathy. So that's all I'm saying.
Y'all are making me nervous. Let's talk Star Trek.
Let's do Star Trek. Thank you, Travis, and of course, Lane. Okay, so we're going to jump into the reviews in just a second, but first I wanted to start off with a quick piece of news, just because you know, it's sort of the present speaking the past to the future, I guess is the way to put it, and that was the news this past week that Kate Mulgrew crashed the dedication of a statue of Captain Janeway in the city where she is supposed to be born in 200 years.
Bloomington, Indiana.
Bloomington, Indiana, indeed. And they dedicated a statue for her. It even has a Elcars type plaque on it.
That's the
announcing who
best
she
part
is.
about it.
Yeah, and she joined via Zoom to be very much honored by having a statue dedicated to the character she's best known for portraying. So I thought
Well,
that was kinda
you
cool.
said she crashed it, and I was thinking, did she get a ticket?
That's just clickbait. That's just clickbait.
That's clickbait. That's Carlos
okay.
says for a tip to
Because can she put a finger down? I was wondering.
Oh,
Whoa.
oh.
Oh.
I can put one finger up if you like.
Complaint line
Just
is
don't tell us where you're putting it up where.
Yeah, please
Oh,
don't.
cough.
We don't need that visual. We don't need that visual. We don't need that visual.
Okay. Fair enough.
After Axanar.
After. Oh.
Okay,
This
so that's
is
the
gonna
One
be a
Piece.
great
Okay,
show.
guys,
I can
come
already
on.
tell.
Okay, we're gonna move
Rein
on to
it
Star
in,
Trek now.
Rein it in.
Indeed, thank you, son. We're gonna move on to Star Trek now. This week had the third episode, "People of Earth," of Star Trek Discovery in its long-awaited third season, and so far, pretty well regarded third season. In it, we go along with the crew of the Discovery right after they have met up with Michael Burnham after she's already been in the 31st century or 32nd century, sorry, for a year. Discovery shows up and they finally reunite. It was all very tearful and joyous and et cetera, and
Reunited and it feels so good.
Sing it.
in it. Anyway, so they travel to Earth because they are looking for the goddamn Federation. They don't know where it is. So they figured it's got to be at Earth because, Earth. So off they go. They use a spore drive, of course, because dilithium's in short supply. And they get to Earth and are met with...
You're doing, Carlos, you're doing great. I haven't seen this out of you before. This is excellent. Carry on.
And
I guess the break last week did Carlos some good.
I guess it did. I do feel pretty good this week. So this is the third episode.
Guy, but he's always so straight laced on the show.
Enough about me. Enough about me. Let's talk about
No, more about Carlos. It's the Carlos Pajamas show, everybody.
Stop it some more.
After Carlos. No.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Susanna. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you look good when you're ghostly, Justin, for sure.
Whoa.
Okay, so I think I wasn't here for last week's show. I assume you guys thought last week's episode was good. I thought it was good. And now we're at the third episode, and this one was directed by Jonathan Frakes, and he is known for directing some of Discovery's best episodes as well as Picard's. Did he? Was it a swing and a miss, or did he hit it out of the park, or was it, did he only get to second base and not in a good way or a bad way? Or not in a bad way?
Carlos! Stop!
I live for Travis's righteous indignation. Okay, so who wants to jump in first? Let's start with Ensign Beard Fassé, then Sean.
I just want to say it's been a long week, and that so I've gone through a lot this week. I've changed so much, and you may not even just realize that how much has gone on, and I just I've lost some things. Yeah, I mean it was good, but I mean if I had to hear Michael Burnham talk about how much he's changed over the course of the last 12 months again, I'm just gonna pull this phaser up to my mouth.
Oh, is that like the kind of phaser you're supposed to make for me?
Oh, dang it! I'm supposed to keep.
Wait,
I
are we
haven't
talking about-
forgotten, Jason.
Are we talking about phasers still or something else? Because
well, the angle was about right, but anyway. So no, that was a good point. I had you people are out of control tonight.
It's Halloween.
It
Come
is.
on, gotta be.
It's Halloween Eve.
You can tell who the crazies are because they're acting up because it's Halloween.
Look, here's the thing. If I'm shocked
crazy.
by Carlos's behavior, then there's something nuts in the air tonight. Oh my
There
God.
is something in the air.
Yeah, we don't
So
know what
Sean,
it
you
is
get to
yet.
go next in your initial
Yeah, I mean,
impressions of the episode.
what was funny was, he said that, and all I kept thinking of is like how they kept, it's about family. It's about family with Star Wars. But no, yeah, I get it. Get it, Mikey, you changed. My impression of the episode, and actually I was feeling this in the week before too, is David O'Neill said it best. He said, Carlos, you're fat.
But after that,
And after that, he followed up with,
Glenn,
this was a Star Trek episode. And this is, again, these episodes in this season keep getting better and better because as
thank you, Glenn, you bitch.
what a dick.
It felt it was a straight up Star Trek episode. It felt had very much a feel of what the the haters complain about not having it really had this. And while at the same time,
So be specific. What were those things? What were those
well,
things?
we had the when of course when they get to Earth and they find out that it's the Federation's no more, they're not involved with it. It's every man for himself on Earth here, and they've created their own kind of private utopia society there, and they keep getting raided by these people called the Wen, or this guy called Wen and his other raiders, and then of course the big switcheroo is, thank you very much, our Georgia.
Do we need to do a spoiler alert?
Oh,
Well,
yes,
yeah.
I think
hold
if
on,
you're
sorry.
watching, let's do a
I
spoiler
think
alert.
that's a given at this point.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
And yes, that is Casey's voice.
So
I like to hear it just because it's Casey's voice.
exactly. So of course, the big switcheroo in this was that these aren't just some hostile aliens; these are humans that were abandoned on Titan.
They weren't abandoned. They
went up-
willingly
they went up-
separated.
I'm sorry.
No.
went off
They
of-
were abandoned because they sent a ship to Earth for help and it got shot out of the sky.
They autonomized. They divested themselves from Earth. So when they came
After they
back
got
to
blown up.
Earth for help, they didn't recognize them.
Right. Okay. So it came down to people in need of help and a whole bunch of misunderstanding, which is kind of like a hallmark of Trek. And everything else we had going on in the background, to continue our season-long arc here, it worked well. It reminded me kind of a Deep Space Nine episode.
Hey, look, Quark was right.
All right. Episodic in nature, yet still continuing to the season-long narrative. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I thought it was great, and I love the casting of Wen to Christopher Heyerdahl. He is great. He's in everything, and
He looks like he needs a sandwich really bad.
That was the idea.
Yeah. No, I mean it was perfect, but
he was
could
actually
use a sandwich.
he had a huge role in why am I forgetting the name of the damn
Stargate.
Forgot about that. But with the Anson Mount show, the Western that he was in, that I'm completely forgetting the name.
Oh yeah, he was in that, and Stargate Atlantis, I do believe.
But he was huge in that show. And he's an excellent actor. And again, this was I felt like this was really just a great Star Trek episode all the way around. It was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes, it was. And you guys skipped over the most important part of the entire goddamn episode.
That a whole year had passed. Did Michael Burnham have changed?
No.
In a montage.
You all missed out the part that my boy's got the fucking captain's chair, motherfucker.
Oh yeah,
pretty
Saru.
important part,
But you know what though? That was
George
like
called-
the
George
biggest
called that.
non-surprise of all
Yeah,
time.
I get that
I
it's
think
not
we all
a
called
surprise,
that,
but I'm just
Justin.
glad that it's like set in stone now, okay? Let me have my glorified, like,
You-
oh,
Yeah,
Captain
except
Saru.
if we follow the pattern here, Saru's gone after the season. So
Shut the hell up.
Oh,
Stop
stop
saying
it,
that, or I will
Fasay.
throw
It'll be
this
dinner.
into your face.
It'll be dinner.
Did anybody else notice that Discovery seemed to have a massive amount of a lithium store for like no reason?
Well, yeah, plot holes.
Discovery's a long-range exploration vessel.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and for the longest time, the spore drive was an experiment. They didn't
and
know if it was going to work, so of course they're going to have a lot of dilithium.
Yeah,
and they're going to
because
have a
if they
lot
get-
left because they don't really use it.
Well,
so-
and also, if they get stranded somewhere and the spore drive doesn't work, they may have a long ride home.
Yeah, and here's the thing about that lithium too. I'm going to nerd out on you guys here for a moment. The explanation. One of the things I loved about this episode was how they compressed the exposition to give us what Burnham was doing for a year and what the burn was, and they did it all in about 2 minutes. And I thought it was great because they didn't just spend the whole episode doing that because it would just piss me off. But what I liked about this was that they explained that the ships that were at warp, their ships blew up because of the lithium failing. Now, That's important because people don't understand that dilithium isn't a fuel source. What dilithium does.
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank
hallelujah.
you. I've had to feel this like
Hallelujah.
6 times this
I've
week.
had 3 fucking arguments over that shit.
It's what it does is it controls the matter antimatter reaction. Okay, that's what it does. So if you don't have that, you go boom. That's what happened. So that was like
explains why the outposts blew up too.
Yep. And the thing about it was that the fact that they explained it that way without having to go into it was like, these fuckers know their Trek tech. They read the TNG Trek tech manual. I'm impressed. So
I was too. I think tech wise, I don't know if we want to go off on a technology tangent here, and if you would rather go to character stuff, we can do that for sure. But one of the things that stands out to me every time I watch Discovery right now, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is 1,000 years in the future. Okay, so think about what it would be like if someone from the year 1020 showed up where we are, and and the technology would be so different. Like, it's almost as if, really everything that we've seen tech wise is basically just kind of variations on a theme, faster, more powerful kind of thing, like the personal transporters and the programmable matter and stuff like that, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but it seems to me like maybe there isn't enough technological change for 1,000 years, because that's
Carlos?
a long hell of a time.
Perhaps some perspective here. A tap on that badge transports someone as quickly and as easily as Q snapping his damn fingers.
Yeah, I have.
True, but presumably they still have a range.
And when was the wheel invented, and it's still around?
Actually, they did have a range, because you remember whenever Burnham and Booker were in that chase on the last. When it was in that chase last episode, they could only go so far, and then they had to wait for it to recharge each time.
Okay,
30 seconds. It only took 30 seconds to recharge a tiny freaking transporter pin.
No, like I said, I love the personal transporters. I think they're great. I just, here's the thing where it really showed up for me. Okay, when Saru has the Discovery put itself in between the quantum torpedoes that are being fired by the Earth Defense Force and Booker's ship, it takes these torpedoes and it completely takes out their shields. But
in one shot.
Think about like just the difference in like weapons technology in just the last 100 years here on Earth. Like it kind of surprised me that all it did was just take out their shields.
Well,
honestly.
okay, yeah, exactly.
They might have been pulling their punches.
I have a bit of a theory on this, and I think there's a theory in science that you get to a certain point where we've gone for with industrialization from in the late 1700s to where we are now, and how exponentially it advances. You get to a point where you've hit a certain level, and you can only advance so much incrementally going forward. And so I think in Star Trek you kind of saw the peak when they were kind of hitting that point in the 23rd and 24th century. So I guess it doesn't really bother me that much that I think about it. It's like, how much further can they go before they're all just energies or brains in jars? Really, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, also keep in mind that there was this, galactic, presumably galactic catastrophe that wiped out the majority of warp-faring ships at the time. I imagine there was a bit of a regression after that, after the destabilization.
Right, bit of a dark age.
Fair. That's fair. But the burn was only 100 years ago, wasn't it?
750.
Yeah, but they also made the comment that they had to pretty much rebuild Earth, so who knows how much damage.
It was 300 years ago.
Tonight.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me, because I couldn't quite.
The burn happened.
Remember.
Hold on, I'm looking this up.
You
Memory Alpha.
Okay.
Because Burnham says in her opening 300 or 700 years after we left.
Okay.
Which would make it 300 years when they arrived.
No, it's not. They said it was because Book said it in the first episode, it was 120 years.
Yeah.
The burn, according to Memory Alpha.
Oh, here we go.
Occurred sometime during the 31st century.
That's only 100 years.
Yep.
Yeah. There we go.
But now remember that there were two different things. First was that, and she talks about this at the beginning of this episode. First, dilithium became inert. A lot of dilithium became inert. And then after that, presumably that was another couple hundred years later, it exploded. So those two things did not happen at the same time. They were separated by some amount of time.
Around 2958, the dilithium supply in the Milky Way galaxy began to dry up. This caused the Federation to start trials on alternate warp drive designs that none proved reliable. Sometime between the 3060s and the 3080s, all dilithium suddenly went inert. This caused any ship with an active warp core to suddenly detonate.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. That makes it more specific. But yeah, so there were two separate events.
I'd like to give a shout out to Adam Ila in here. First, he has two brilliant comments. One is, Sean, you're such a nerd. And the second one is Star Wars has
true story.
Technological, exactly. Star Wars has technological plateau, and that's.
I can accept that. Because otherwise, and I think we talked about this a little bit before Discovery's premiere about the challenge in portraying tech that was far enough advanced, and that it might be more than we can imagine.
There's another side to this too. You have to, from a practical standpoint, this is a Star Trek show. It has to be. You can't make it so outlandish that it's not recognizable as Star Trek anymore either. Sure.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Okay, let's veer back to the episode and the story. So on the one hand, we have the big picture, which is what the hell has happened to Earth. Earth appears to have. I read one article today that basically said. I just saw Joe's text. He said, "I sit on a throne of lies." Thank you, Joe. You bitch.
I forgot how much fun it was having Joe Diaz.
Joe is great, and not just because of his hair, but his sharp tongue.
That's what she said.
Thank you.
No. Hey, I did not say shit.
Full moon or something? What is happening? This
is what happens when you take a week off, Carlos.
We're slowly breaking Carlos. We're breaking Carlos.
No, I will reassert command because I do want to talk about Earth. Tell me, I'm interested in your impressions on what you thought of the Earth of the 32nd century.
Before I say
Terra Prime.
Well, actually, yeah, I was going to go.
Not even close. Not even fucking close.
All right, Justin, make your point. Then Ross, you get your rebuttal.
All right. Well, we still have the Utopia, but they have closed themselves off from everybody else in the quadrant. I mean, it's just humans, as far as they know. We know right now on Earth, they even said it. They closed off from everybody else because why should they be part of the Federation if they can sustain themselves?
So you're basically saying that. In some ways, it's a throwback to the Earth that we saw in Enterprise, which was becoming.
I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that's bad, but probably close because we don't know exactly what happened, how bad it got yet. I'm sure we'll get more to that story later on.
There was a Tellarite and a Vulcan on that boarding crew.
Really? I did not notice that.
Yeah, there was a Tellarite. Yep.
Okay.
I'll link the video in chat in a minute.
Yeah, good. No, that's an excellent point. That may not mean that they're xenophobic, but certainly isolationist. Other points of view on what you thought about. I mean, were you disappointed in what you saw?
Before I say anything about Earth, I do want to say one thing. One of my favorite moments in the first part of the episode. Giorgio don't do no hugs.
Give a nod.
No, she got a nod. She gave a nod.
She gave a nod. She got a nod. She gave a nod back.
Nod.
It was more like an eyebrow raise. Yeah. Okay, you're here.
Okay, we'll come back to that because I want to talk about Giorgio's and Burnham's relationship as we've seen it evolve just within the space of this episode. But we'll come back to that.
So Earth.
You were going to talk about Earth. Yes, go ahead, Ross. You start.
I got to say, this idea that Earth is on its own, that Starfleet and the Federation are no longer there, that is incredibly brave, and opens up so many different possibilities of redefining what Starfleet and the Federation is. Up to this point, Starfleet and the Federation have been the pinnacle of human development. yes, it is an inclusive organization that welcomes in aliens of all shapes and sizes, from bipedal humans to cetacean to saurians to ocean creatures and cetacean ops that we need to see. Producers, come on, stop teasing us. Anyway, so now that it is completely on its own and isolated, and apparently dilithium is so precious and in such limited supply that you can't get from Earth to Tellar or Earth to Andor. Presumably, where Burnham was in the first couple episodes, she was around Andor, which is stellarly, astronomically speaking, relatively close to Earth.
Close, yeah.
And if she couldn't get from there to Earth, the people are pretty much
she
just
was in
stuck.
Andor. Was she actually on Andor? We saw Andorians.
We saw a lot of Andorians,
but that doesn't mean we were
and a lot of Orion. So
because remember, Andor is an ice planet. So
yeah, it's an ice moon.
Okay,
it's an ice moon orbiting a gas giant. So,
correct.
but no, it's a presumption. Yes, I'm making we don't know, so I'm assuming we're close to both Andor and Orion, which are also fairly close by, closer to each other than Earth. But if she's stuck in a small area of space because she can't get enough dilithium to sustain a reaction to get that far, that means the people on Earth are pretty much just stuck there. They probably can't even go to Vulcan.
Oh, no. They said they have dilithium. They're sitting on a hoard.
Yes.
That was the thing that what's his name? Wen was accusing them of. It's like, you're not even using it. You have a stash and you're not even using it because of their isolationism.
Yeah.
But it's really telling about how people are able to get around in the galaxy. That people are very limited in where and how they can get to places. And if Earth is so isolated, they can't even get to their closest neighbors anymore.
Well, they don't want to go to their closest neighbors. There's a difference.
You understand what I'm trying to say, though.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're like, I don't know if this got mentioned already, but I mean, when they beam aboard Discovery, I believe you could see for a brief moment, you could actually see a Tellarite officer as one of the beaming intruders. So I don't think
there was a Vulcan too.
Yeah, so I don't think that they've like isolated themselves.
Well,
to the
they could have
like,
been descendants of Tellarites and Dorians and whatever that were on Earth.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
They've never said
that only humans lived on Earth, right?
Yeah,
that's up to Star Trek.
But think about a starship comes through an Earth starship, right? Comes through the solar system, up to Earth orbit, and all shit breaks loose. They board, and get all pissy. So I don't think that they're really welcoming their neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I would like to reiterate, Quark was right. Take away humans' creature comforts, and they will turn savage.
Yeah, he was right.
Yeah.
But they really weren't savage,
they weren't
though.
savage, though.
They were just protective.
They go. They go to their. I think the Quark's point was that they revert to their baser instincts of in this case, I think that's a very strong point because they went to the basic instincts of isolationism and protectionism. So,
after all, they didn't immediately fire on Discovery. They raised shields and then hailed them and told them to go away. But they did sit. They listened. They heard him out. They didn't talk down to Saru. So there's still hope there. There's still that evolved human element there. It's just tempered by an experience of hardship.
True, and we see that by the end because they're willing to talk terms with their enemies.
And
thanks to Starfleet.
And
thanks to Giorgio.
Well, they would have gotten there eventually. She just sped it up.
Oh, I love. Seriously,
diplomacy is so slow.
Honest to Christ, she can speed up an episode so well. It's. I think I'm saying how long is this going to drag out with these two? Oh, there we go. Giorgio kicked the leg.
The Section 31 series is only going to be 15 minutes an episode.
He's just going to come in, kick ass. Story's over. Son, were you going to say something? Son, go ahead.
I was going to say that you guys started talking and I forgot.
About Giorgio?
The scene with the scene with the two interacting, while yes, it was a step in the right direction, it's more important to note that it only happened because the Federation was there.
You mean so because Starfleet was there? Is that what you're getting at? Because of
Discovery?
Yeah, because
yeah.
Discovery.
No, I mean I think that was their point.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a bit. I think that's going to be a bigger point throughout the rest of the season as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean the whole reestablishment of Starfleet or the Federation and its ideals clearly. I mean, and you hear this again and again in each episode whenever they explain things as because we're Starfleet, and Saru saying Starfleet does not fire first. Him interposing.
An echo of the first episode.
Exactly, exactly. I like that too. So yeah, I mean, I think the whole idea that this is a group of people who are standing up for a set of principles and ethics that have gone out of fashion, but are still admired and hoped for in a way. I think that's going to be a big theme through the rest of the.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I think that what we're kind of witnessing here is it's not this notion of rebuilding the Federation. I think the bigger issue here is because the Federation and Starfleet still exists. We know that, but the issue is here
somewhere,
right? Bringing Earth home. Back to the Federation. I think it's also like Earth is kind of like a lost child at this point that went off on their own, and they want to bring and I think Discovery is going to want to bring it back into the family.
Yep.
Other thoughts on the state of Earth as we see it in the 32nd century?
Boothby's tree's still there.
I was thinking that too. It's all about Boothby.
Oh my God, this Among Us. Now they even featured that in another TV show, did they not?
Voyager?
Yeah,
no,
Voyager.
not
The
a Star Trek show. They did it in another show because someone showed a screen cap from it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, it's in Toronto, so I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Although actually, yes, it was shot in Toronto, but that was not a real tree, folks. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sorry to burst your bubble. If you watch Ready Room, you'll see that they actually it's a blue screen big cylinder thing on which they put some panels that were texturized like wood, and so that close up where Tilly's got her hand right up against it. That in real life, that was a blue piece of texturized.
Well, I mean, I'm impressed because I thought
it looked real.
It looked real, yeah.
Trek Course shared a series of screen caps that showed San Francisco and Starfleet Academy's depiction over the course of several different series.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it had its appearance here in Disco in season 1 and 3, Picard, and the motion picture. And the most recent depictions are all fairly similar, but the motion picture one is a little vague. Instead of the solar panels that we see on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, it's a bunch of transportation tubes.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and that had some interesting discussions along with that.
I want to point out about that scene too, that flyover they did at the end. That this is my only big complaint about the episode is that CG was terrible. It was harsh, man. That was
it was, but it was still interesting because it's really great to see. Like I've lived in San Francisco for a good chunk of my life, and seeing the geography that I know. In the future is kind of a cool thing to look at. Right. So that's what I was kind of focusing on.
We saw another cheese wedge of a ship.
Hold on, I thought that Starfleet Academy was across in San Francisco at the old Presidio.
No,
it's on the other. It's on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge. The Presidio's on one side of the bridge, and then immediately on the other side of the bridge.
So Starfleet Academy isn't in San Francisco; it's in Alameda.
Well, no, not Alameda. It's in Sausalito.
In Star Trek 2009, it's in the Presidio, but in everything else, it's on the other side of the bay.
Yeah.
They
Where
count
they keep the nuclear
on
vessels.
Most Americans, that's the other side of the bay. That's once you. This is going into the bay from.
But I thought they were in Sausalito, over by Alameda.
So
Sausalito is totally different.
I was
totally different part.
I was disappointed.
So here's
how many more times you gonna say it, man?
Here's a really good question for the
Nuclear
entirety of this
weapons.
season. How on earth did Earth actually
Stupid
keep a massive supply of dilithium from exploding?
It wasn't
because
in
it was in use.
Right. It
No,
has
no,
to
no,
be
no, no, no. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. Like they have, like apparently they have this hoard of dilithium. Okay. Okay. Like, didn't a whole bunch of dilithium go inert? How did they have a hoard of it?
Not
Yeah,
all
but
of
it
it
was-
though. Not all of
yeah.
it though. They probably still, even
The way
Well, look,
I
they-
thought
they-
it was stuff that was in active warp cores is what wasn't in there.
Okay, so here's the thing: is that I think we're just going to have to ignore that, and the simple reason why is because if all dilithium went inert, then why are they still trading for dilithium?
It's-
on top
okay,
of
there's
it?
still
And-
some
and why-
dilithium that did not go
and
inert.
why did they buy it? Why did they immediately buy it? Discover Saru's explanation that we have all this dilithium, and why didn't they say, okay, it shouldn't work at all? So what's the point of having it? Okay, I think we're just going to have to move past that.
Well, that's not
It's
an
the
error
Seven
of
Knights
any
all
kind.
over again.
It's not an error. They said not all dilithium was affected.
No, that's
So-
what I mean. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting at here. I don't think it's worth focusing too much on. We just have to accept the fact that it wasn't.
Well, I'm sure that we're gonna find out what caused the burn, and we're probably gonna find out that it was some
Burnham.
kind of.
Oh, come on.
Something Burnham did.
No, we all
I
know.
wonder.
No.
You
It
know
was
it's going to be
direct-
that. You know it's going to be it.
It's going to
It
be
was
the mother.
direct
It's going to
gonna be the
descendant of
mother.
Mr. Sanders.
The mother.
Grudge
Me and
killer.
Carlos are calling it right now. The mother is caused to burn.
Christ, I would piss me off.
Because
so much.
remember, one of the clues they've given about it is that it affected all dilithium everywhere simultaneously. And where have we seen that kind of thing happen before? The Red Angel and the Signals.
I hate the Red Angels. Stupid ass.
God, no.
And they also threw in the thing there about her having contacted Terralisium, and which apparently has progressed enough to be able to have subspace. And they never heard of her mother. So her mother didn't make it to Terralisium. Something happened to her along the way. Maybe, I don't know, 700 years or so. I'm just guessing.
You blow up pieces of dilithium.
I'll hang up.
I don't remember if it was brought up last week or the week before, but it was mentioned by one of our viewers that, remember that planet from the episode Pen Pals with Data and the little girl? That was a dilithium explosion going on.
The dilithium lattice in the mantle of the
Planet's
planet.
crust.
Yep.
I hate that episode so much for so many reasons.
Well, and another bit of concern, Poe's planet, also very rich in dilithium.
Yes, you have to wonder what became of it. And if maybe it was the cause of it. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe they were
My guess
recrystallizing
is
stuff.
we have seen Poe's planet in several episodes plus a short trek. My guess is we're not done with Poe's planet.
And we all know that we have a queen on the show now.
We do.
We do. Grudge.
Yeah,
Grudge
there's
caused a
a
burn.
around about Grudge Cat. The Grudge Cat's a shapeshifter.
I'm pretty sure it's just a cat.
My guess is she's just a cat.
It's not
My
a cat.
guess is she's
it's a
queen.
flurgan.
Okay, let's talk characters for a little bit because we saw a lot of character stuff happen in this episode. As Ensign Beard Fassé has so sarcastically pointed out, Michael Burnham has changed a lot in a year. And
So much has happened
she doesn't
in a
mind
year.
So much.
She doesn't mind telling everyone, and apparently everyone doesn't mind telling it back to her. So yes, we heard that a lot, and yes, she did change, and we saw some of those changes. I don't.
She
think
switched to
we-
Purell. Is that what she did?
No, I mean,
She got
a
you
year
there, plug.
completely alone, and her point, and which she finally admits to Tilly, is that she'd given up, actually. Or not given up, but she had let them go, essentially. She was prepared to live in a world where Discovery was not going to be in it anymore. So having kind of made her peace with that, apparently, and then having it appear is disorienting for her. And we see some of the effects of that. How well do you think that came across, apart from the fact it was repeated so much, but in her actions, the way she interacted with Booker, how they worked together, how they didn't inform Saru of their plan, etc.? Who wants to go?
Well, I think this is going to set up for something later on in the season, where I don't think Burnham's going to leave the show because, it kind of revolves around her a little bit, but I think she might actually leave the ship and go off with Booker.
I've read other people theorize that. I think basically but what do the rest of you think? Travis?
Come back to me.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Joe, do you want to weigh in on this one?
I think it's the tree. It's definitely the tree. That's the central character. That's the thing that's going to tie the whole season together.
The tree apparently is eternal, which, by the way, reminds me, that goddamn line about cake is eternal pissed me off. I actually sent a tweet to John Van Sitters at CBS about it. I said, "What kind of operation you running over there?"
And now
cake is eternal. And then I hashtagged it Team Pie.
Now, if they would have said pie is eternal, that would have been a total out.
Hey. Pie may not be eternal, but is omnipotent.
I can live with that.
Cake and pie can coexist.
It depends on how you touch it.
Does it?
Okay,
Does it,
Stifler.
Adam Miles says the tree has more range.
Ouch!
That was my point. Thank you.
Okay, so Carlos, remember how I said you missed the reviews for last week?
Yes.
Yeah, you need to go and watch that.
I will, but I can't at the moment.
Of course.
So you're gonna have to, Sean. What the hell are you doing?
He's pouring.
Well, you're banging on your microphone.
Yeah, it sounds like you're whacking something there. That's not part of the micro. Yeah.
Don't
Damn it, Sean.
project Carlos onto Sean.
Thank you, Joe. I love your hair. So I'm sorry, son. You asked a question. I can't stop talking about it. Son, you asked a question. Oh yeah, you said I have to watch last week's things. Did you guys? Were the ratings related to Michael Burnham, or give me a hint?
More like the lack of Michael Burnham.
Oh, and you guys thought that was great, didn't you?
Yeah.
A few people did, yeah.
You bitches.
That's what.
Good God,
why
I'm
I think,
so over
maybe
this.
they will send her off on her own. With Booker.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Here's the thing. Yes, Michael's changed a lot. So much has happened. So much. Anyway,
it's been a year. So much in that year has gone on.
I think
we're seeing. I think, like with season 3 with Discovery as a whole, I think we're seeing it as something of a soft reboot of Michael. We're getting a somewhat different character.
That's what Roll Reloaded said, and he actually enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah,
but I think we're going to see a much more brash, almost Kirk-like Burnham going forward. She's going to be the cavalier first officer who goes and does the weird things while Saru plays the straight man.
I think that is much more likely. I think that is a much more likely way. No, we didn't. Not really. Not officially.
No, the Vulcan hello.
Yes, and she was.
And what happened to her after that?
Yeah, exactly. And when she was on Discovery, she was made science officer, but not first officer.
But my point is that I feel like we've hit a reset button on Burnham's character, right? Like this. Like running off and not telling Saru that they're going to take the dilithium supply and go do all this is like Burnham from like what we've seen in the Vulcan Hello, although without the stoic volcanism.
That was nothing like what happened in the Vulcan Hello.
It was the exact same thing. It was undermining the authority of her leader
Those are very broad strokes there.
And with completely different intentions.
Right. Okay, so what I was going to point out about this is, one, it's like, anybody else find it weird that everyone had the same reaction that Burnham did when they met her, instead of, it's only been a day,
Okay, I've been thinking about this all week because a lot of people have been complaining about that, and I'm going to stand up for that kind of reaction, because you have to remember what happened the day before, okay?
Right.
They were in one of the biggest space battles we've ever seen. People they knew and loved died. It was very traumatic. It was a traumatic event. The fact that it happened only the day before, or a couple of days before, that's a big deal. So,
and Georgia got Leland on her shoe.
Well, and it was also very centric around Burnham. She was leading Discovery into the future. She was taking the risk by being out there with millimeters of metal between her and the fucking void of space.
You know, I wanted to comment at the end here when she has that little talk with Saru, where it's basically, I'm going to pretty much do what the fuck I want to help you out, and I'm probably not going to tell you. And Saru is not only is accepting of it, like, yeah, I pretty much expect that's how things are going to go. And then she gets like, and I'll be proud to be your number one. And Saru didn't say what I thought he should have said was, I don't recall asking. He's like, okay, sure. All right, fine.
I thought the Saru Michael scenes were actually pretty touching. Throughout this episode, and it felt real. It didn't feel like it was put upon or forced.
I think there is a realization here that it's not just Michael's change, but the crew of the Discovery has, due to their circumstances, everything has instantly changed for them. They're not just a crew of a starship, of a massive fleet, of a massive interplanetary government. They are now, it's Voyager. Just them. It's family, right? It's like it's kind of like Voyager.
Voyager reboot.
Tilly was talking about that. She was thinking about all of her family that that's gone now, and that they've lived their entire lives, and she has no one. And when you think about that, that's really what that's what's changed for everyone here. They are all they've got now. So it's like, I was joking, I was busting chops about Burnham and Saru at the end, but I think Saru is clearly acutely aware that their relationship as crew members has all completely changed as well. Mm-hmm. So
because these were all people, remember, who volunteered to stay on Discovery. Yeah. So it wasn't the full ship's complement, and it wasn't people who were there by accident. They made a choice to stay.
Yeah, there's only 80
that makes
people.
A big difference.
Right? Did they say in the second episode that there's only like 88 people or 80 people?
88, yeah.
88, yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah, because Zara said 76, and then she said 88. We count our wounded.
Right. That's fucked up. Yeah.
Right. That was actually a really good little way to contrast the two of them.
On the upside, though, Jet Reno is now our chief engineer, which is outstanding.
I love Jet Reno.
Reno's awesome.
More than life itself.
Yeah, I mean, her and Stamets, they have such chemistry. It just makes it fun to watch.
They do. Although I wasn't here for last week's thing, but I thought the Stamets part of the story was the slowest part of last week's episode.
Yeah,
it was.
And you know how I know that? Because
he was in the most pain.
The tree.
No. It was just because whenever we got to that part of the episode, that's when I checked my text messages and my.
And not to draw on last week's episode because I wasn't here for it. But my favorite scene, the whole part, was when she was sitting there. They're in there, and they can have poor guys with that shovel scooping up Leland, and she goes, "And what's your name, Gene?" I've already forgotten.
That was great.
Oh, and that
it was like a scene on Lower Decks. It was great,
and that was apparently triggered a lot of the haters because they're like, "Oh, now they're ditching Gene Roddenberry's name by having."
Oh my god!
They can get fucked.
Wow.
Lots of people are named Gene.
So can we talk about my favorite part of this episode?
Go for it, son.
How we got handed a new crew member who's been Rikered.
I'm not sold on that wording. That can mean a lot of different things.
Okay,
so are you talking about Adira?
A lot of things happened to Riker over the years.
Yeah. Are you talking about Adira?
So the symbiont is implanted in a human, just like Riker.
Mm-hmm. Yes. happened
Yeah,
one
but
time.
that doesn't mean anything.
Riker
And
also got
900
himself
years later,
cloned.
when presumably the technology is more advanced to ensure, a more permanent
Well, Son and I were
symbiosis.
talking about this too. It might be her age. She's 16 years old, and apparently he died 2 years ago. So
Right.
if this happened right before he died or right after he died, she's been living with the symbiote as she's still growing and developing. So maybe that process makes the joining a bit more compatible.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, make the point. We now have a Riker Crusher.
A Riker Crusher.
A Riker Drill and a Crusher Wesley Crusher.
What?
Well,
Team
I
Prodigy.
have no
because
idea what
she's
you're
so,
talking about.
I get what you're saying because she's so young. That's what I get.
He's the same age as Crusher was when he was on Enterprise.
Way
You
better
need to say
character than
Wesley,
Wesley.
because when you say Crusher, most of us are thinking Beverly.
Yeah.
Okay, Wesley.
He was never addressed as Crusher. Almost never.
Yeah.
But is she?
Picard did, Mr. Crusher.
Well, he was the only one.
I wouldn't call them
thought.
I wouldn't call them a Crusher.
I wouldn't either. You don't even know exactly what kind of role they're going to be playing in this.
Here's what I will say though. That
Yeah, you do.
You have someone who has the life experiences of a Trill symbiote in their head at 16. So,
but having a hard time accessing the memories. An interesting,
but she's already
an
got
interesting limitation.
a pretty much genius way of figuring stuff out. So
I do. I like the addition of this character. I really do. I think she's
but-
going to be a lot of fun.
Okay,
there's also not.
Okay, wait. One at a
really
time.
important
Let's go with
here.
Sun, and then Jason.
Okay, so I
Go
know
ahead, Sam.
everybody here is saying she, but this is, I believe, the non-binary member of the crew now.
But they refer.
They said she.
They referred. So there's actually a really neat article about this where, they are in parallel of coming to their own gender identity in real life that paralleled what was happening on the show. And from my understanding is Blue was using female pronouns because of family and was transitioning over to, and so the development of Adara has helped Blue come to their own identity.
Yeah, and they've also made a distinction between the actor and the character. The way I looked at the character, because the character in the episode was referred to with female pronouns. Remember, the character has been essentially hiding that she's a Trill symbiont, and since she was probably born female, she probably maintained that identity even after the joining, because she didn't want to essentially out herself. That now that she's on Discovery likely will change, and we may see an actual transition from the female pronouns to the they them pronouns.
Someone is in chat. We were talking about the Red Angel suit earlier. Someone in chat mentioned, Burnham, the suit was damaged whenever Burnham came through. So what if whenever Burnham sent it back through the wormhole, something caused, whenever it self-destructed, it caused the burn?
No, because it self-destructed.
The burn.
It self-destructed back in the 22.
Because remember, Spock saw the signal.
Okay.
It had to transmit that last signal before it self-destructed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so could possibly do that then.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about Adira. Your reactions and predictions. Who wants to go next? I think Jason, you were going to go.
No, I'm.
You made your point.
Yeah, interesting character. I'm excited to see where this goes. I love the Trill. I love the idea of the Trill. I kind of, instead of being a slug in the stomach, I wish they were a snake in the neck. But we'll see. It looks like we may be making a pit stop at Trill next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
They are, and they're going to apparently shoot somebody. So we'll see. Okay, who else? What do you think about a Trill and it being a Trill that also was a Starfleet admiral?
I'm really not sure what to think of her yet. She was super sketch from the very beginning. So that feeling hasn't quite left the character yet. And when she first said that she was the admiral, I thought, my first thought, she's faking it. She faked the signal. Then, of course, we found out she's joined with a Trill symbiote, and well, there's a lot I don't know about the character yet. I haven't made up my mind on her until I learn a bit more about her.
I think that the scene that showed the character off best, and I watched it a second time, and the scene the second time was a bit more revelatory to me, was when Stamets confronts her.
Yeah.
And actually, if you listen to the score in that, because it's actually a delightful little piece of music underscoring that interaction with them. Watch it again, and it may change the way you view that.
Stamets is actually kind of nice while being sassy.
Yeah. I mean, on one level, he's impressed by them. So it's. I think there's probably something there that could go on, and probably something. I'm guessing we're going to see kind of a Tilly rivalry happen, because she talks about how Tilly talks about how she's a teen genius and Tilly was a teen genius and blah blah blah. So it'll be interesting to see how that character dynamic plays out.
I'm gonna actually probably disagree with you a little bit on that, only because I think what's going to happen is that I think she and Tilly are going to become really close because they have so much in common, with their being so young and being very very confused, because and kind of this is all happening, lots all happening at once for two characters who are so very young. And when I say very confused, I'm referring to she's got a Trill symbiote in her. I mean,
that changes a lot.
It changes everything. We've seen that, and of course Tilly going through her her own issues with everything and struggling. Especially we saw again. I'll go back to it, how she struggled with the realization of her whole family's gone, her friends are gone, everyone's gone that she ever knew. So there's it's a lot for anyone to take, but it's especially a lot for young people to take. So I think they're going to find some serious common ground there. I expect the relationship with Stamets and her to be very much of a mentor relationship. I think Stamets really, it's like he was impressed. He was like kind of like almost, it reminds me of a young me, type thing. And I expect
that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, a mentoring role here. So
in a way, I wonder if it may end up being more like the relationship we saw between like Curzon and Cisco.
Probably.
Because
I think especially with Tilly in the mix, because they're the two youngest pretty much people on the ship, more or less. So there's bound to be either a rivalry or a friendship. And I think we'll see a friendship between the three of them.
Friendships can also be rivalries.
Yes, they can. Good point, Ross.
Big Pulaski and Data, they were friendly / rivalry there for a while back in TNT, and we've seen it in every Star Trek series. You have the friend and rival, but you kind of compete with each other, but they're friends at the same time. Yeah,
Quark and Odo.
Jet and Stamets.
Yeah, right.
George and Gracie.
And for a more an example right here, we have the various classes of juggalos that apparently Justin knows a lot about. So it's an insane clown posse joke, folks. Come on.
Oh, sorry.
Very good people.
My bad.
Are we going to see Saru's garden again? I would like to see Saru's garden again.
I want to see him turn the Ready Room into a garden.
Oh, the Ready Room was really interesting in that they kept that broken table there.
Table already. Oh my
From Pike.
God. Oh God, it was one of those things. It was like,
it's only been what?
It's only been 2 days.
Yeah, it's only been 2 or 3 days.
I don't care. Get a new fucking table. God, it's killing me.
They're getting there. I mean, he just now opened the Giorgio's, the other Giorgio's.
Well, it's a highlight of how different this Trek is from others. If this were Voyager, there would be no they'd have a full complement of torpedoes, all their crew would be replaced.
You know what?
All the damn
there would be no dots.
What?
Yeah.
Let Ross finish, please.
I just finished.
Okay. Yeah, this is what I love about this. There's no fucking reset button. That was the biggest thing about the other shows from the
language. Well, I mean, it's okay.
Language.
It was okay. Listen, it was okay for the Enterprise D to look like it was coming out of Starbase every week, because it probably was, and that's fine. But Voyager, come on, Voyager's on the other side.
Enterprise D, hell, even after a major battle when they were in
Okay, folks, let's get back to this show, not the ones that were a decade or more ago.
So we kind of nice seeing the worker bees and those little dot drones fix the ship.
Yeah, we're apparently seeing a lot of them. I was going to ask you all about that because we not only see them, at work in this episode, you see them in the preview for next week's episode as well, and you see them in the opening credits. So, what do you think's going on with that? That they're making a big point of the dots?
Plot device.
Here's a question about that. What is the normal crew complement for a Walker class ship?
I think they said it was like 200 something.
And how many are there now?
80 something.
They're going to need help.
Sure. But
that
makes sense. But the repair stuff has always been in the background of Star Trek up until now. Now it appears to be moving front and center. So, what does that mean?
Justin's right that this is a soft reboot of Voyager.
Well, I mean,
he actually said it was a soft reboot of Discovery, but.
By the way,
that makes sense, Steve.
Have you guys noticed that I have not referred to Giorgio as Space Hitler once this entire season?
You have not, and I do want to talk about Giorgio. Remember, I said I wanted to talk about your impressions of what we saw of Giorgio, what we've seen of Giorgio so far, and the relationship that is changing between her and Burnham.
Well, I think not so much. I honestly, the Burnham aspect of this is not really in the forefront of my mind right now. But I think that Giorgio, this era, considering everything that's going on, this kind of post-apocalyptic Wild West era, this is perfect for her.
Yeah.
This is I like her now more than I ever have. It's only taken 3 episodes.
She said as much in the last episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I'm thinking about she just like we said in the beginning here. She just gets shit done, and I love that about her. And she does see. And look, she's gonna be her. She's gonna be a pain in the ass and mouth off. And but at the end of the day, look, she's not out there killing people for sport or anything. She's not, she's not collecting human heads.
More importantly,
not anymore anyway.
Right. But more importantly, she's sticking with them.
Right,
that's really the key thing.
Good call. Exactly.
Right. Even Burnham was surprised that she was still there.
Yeah, I don't. It's like I look at her like I don't see the thing about it was like my fear was they were going to make it like immediately out of the gate. It's going to be Giorgio scheming to basically become empress of this new world, this new universe, and I don't see that here. I see her contributing and kind of like almost realizing that again we've talked about this before with
I don't see that at all.
She adapts to for survival. At the end of the day, she's a survivor more at the end of the day. So
okay, let's see what Son has to say.
Go ahead, Son.
So this episode, with the way Giorgio was seeing Burnham and having Burnham return, the interaction was more along the lines of, so you see now how I've lived my life. You've lived it now. Now let's go off and do shit together. That's how that felt.
Yeah, kinda.
Sort of feels like that. I'm not sure if that's the actual subtext, though. But certainly, I mean, she does draw a parallel between the two of them now. And but even before they found her again, like her concern for finding Michael was her number one priority after they crashed while they were crashing. So that's even before she's seen her again. So there's definitely we're seeing a. I forget which episode it was. Someone said she lacks the self-awareness to actually be able to express an emotion, but she's having these emotions. She has this attachment to Burnham that we see in just the exchange of glances, the nods when Burnham beams onto the ship and everyone's there. And of course, Georgia's standing back away from everyone, but
she don't do no hugs.
Right? She don't do no hugs. And then they have that really great conversation. Walk and talk in which she's saying to her, "I've seen how you've changed, why you've changed. and how that
so much.
So I know, but when Giorgio says it, it means something.
What about the interaction between Booker, Giorgio and Booker? What about that interaction? That was pretty epic.
That was great.
Yes great. And no. Here's my problem with the Booker interaction is that it became this like these in jokes, and nobody wants to hear other people's in jokes, like inside jokes. Because they're meaningless to you. It's like, oh, remember that time with on there, and I saved you. No, you saved me. And it's like, pretty clear. I hated when they did that between Anakin and Obi-Wan in which one was it? The second one, the third one?
Oh my
and
God.
And they just walked and talked and said, yeah, well, remember this? No, remember that? Yeah, well, I did this. No, I did that. It's just meaningless exposition. It's not even exposition. It's not even telling us anything.
Remember when I saved you for that best of Dunga?
Back to Giorgio, not to retread what I was saying last week too much, but you guys weren't here. Michael is the only thing really connecting Giorgio to this new timeline at all. Michael still has the Discovery and crew and book and her time there, but Giorgio, she has nothing. Her only connection is Michael. So of course she's going to be emotionally attached to her.
I think that's true, but I would also say that she has some connection to Discovery. Not as strong obviously as the one to Michael, but she's still there for them. I mean, she went of her own accord after Saru and Tilly in the last episode to save them,
Well, yeah, but because her survival is dependent on them and what they were doing.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
One doesn't count out the other.
I don't think her survival is dependent on them.
They have a ship.
Well, yeah, but she knows that her ship's there, and she didn't want to be with them. She wouldn't. It comes down to that. It comes down to that.
I think she feels. I think in her own mirror universe way, she feels that she is what will protect them, and I think this is sort of like that mothering thing that we see with Giorgio and Michael in the first two episodes, and I think we see the same character trait come out of Mirror Giorgio. She just will fuck you up.
I would love to see them actually, because we don't really know anything about her past. I would love for them to cover, Giorgio's past, how she became who she was, how she, from when she was a kid to when she ultimately became the Empress. I'd love to see that story.
Short Trek would be perfect for that.
Well, I think you're right, Justin. And the reason why is I think that any kind of a longer treatment of that would get buried under the fact that it's the mirror universe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and there's just so much cruelty and going on that you can only handle so much of that. Whereas a short trek would let you take a glance at one little sliver of her previous life, so that you understand why she still has some of the empathy or protectiveness or whatever you want to call it that we're seeing in sort of dribs and drabs in Discovery.
Well, that's just it. Love and empathy and paternal and maternal feelings still exist in the mirror universe. Otherwise, life wouldn't exist. Sure. It's just that the cruelty and the evil is highlighted. Just because things are a dark mirror of another reality doesn't mean that there aren't people living out normal lives, doing normal things, and that productive and healthy things don't happen.
Carlos, we got the Section 31 series that might be coming or still is coming or however it is now. What if they could use that, because we can pretty much guess that, Giorgio might be in the future for this now. We pretty much certainty. Now, they can also use it to give a little bit more insight to her backstory as, flashbacks throughout the show or kind of, give her a bit of a backstory here and there. I mean, it's not unforeseeable. I mean, it's new territory. They can do whatever the hell they want in the 32nd century now.
Sure. I mean, what will be key though is how we see her play out in in this season. I mean, this season really is going to be setting a lot of a foundation for where Discovery goes from here and where she goes from here. So they're remaking all of the foundations for this show because they're in a new time period. So we're gonna get a lot of clues, I think, about how that's going to develop.
I hope so, because I really want to see more of Giorgio. I kind of want to learn a little bit more about her backstory, but I don't want like something like a giant show dedicated just to that. Just like you said, I think it's more suited for a short track.
Let me put it this way: I don't think they would have to do that. I think they could probably do it with a simple conversation with in an episode involving Burnham and Giorgio having to be together alone or something like that, where like they're trapped somewhere and they have to tell them something. The basic tropes.
The famous elevator episode, stuck in an elevator episode.
There you go. Right, exactly. Stuck in the turbo lift. Right, exactly. So.
No, it'll be the two of them on a mission because you got to have action. But yeah, I think you're right. We may see something like that. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the other characters. And the first one I want to talk about is Detmer. Something's going on there, folks. What is it, and what do you think where do you think it's coming from, and what do you think it's going to head?
It seems to have disappeared this episode.
Control.
No, it didn't.
Not necessarily.
No, it didn't.
She's usually pretty on the ball with accepting orders and trusting Saru or whoever else is in command. She was pretty questioning and doubtful in the few scenes that she had in this episode. She wasn't staring blankly into space like she wasn't sure what's going on. Something's changed with her as well.
Yeah, there's what before I chime in again, what other opinions? Who else has an opinion on what they think is happening with Detmer?
I honestly go ahead, Justin.
I think her implant got damaged, and she just doesn't want to say anything because it's something that she's just not repairable, and she's trying to go on without it.
I don't know. A damaged implant to me is like that's not a character development. That's a technological fix.
I think it's PTSD. I think it's gotta be
deeper than that.
It could be.
Yeah, I think it's more that. Because remember, this is coming on the heels of not just their crash landing, not just after this intense battle in which the Discovery was battered over and over again. I mean, go back and watch that last episode of season 2, and you'll see just like how much was going on Discovery that was really ultimately traumatic, and she's only now starting to deal with her feelings about that. Curious how many of you have seen watched Ready Room and have seen the clip from next week's episode?
Not yet.
No,
okay.
I haven't.
You haven't. I won't go too much into spoiler territory, other than to say they have not forgotten Detmer. It's still front and center in this.
Oh, I'm sure. I got the impression from the first episode, or not the first, but the second episode, that Detmer is going to have a much bigger role this season, without question. So, my take on this was, in this episode, it's like I didn't really care that much because there was a bigger story in this episode, but it's like it's in the back of my mind type thing. And it was kind of funny watching Saru basically go, "Shut the fuck up and do what I tell you," and when she finally does do what she's told. So.
Yeah, it's still a C plot right now for sure. But I think it may move to B next week. Next week's episode, we know, is going to be more Culber centric. So, him caring for the crew and what that looks like. So,
and by the way, can I point out something about Culbert and Stamets here? And I've come to this realization that in the 54 years plus of Star Trek, this is the best romantic relationship, the most realistic romantic relationship ever on Star Trek. That it wasn't just absolute cringe.
Yeah, and I want to save him so I can kill him.
Exactly. Right. I mean, the closest I ever thought that they got was Keiko and Miles, and realize how bad that was to say that. I mean,
such a toxic marriage.
Right. That's how big the gulf is there between between how they've written romantic relationships in Star Trek. They finally have one that's actually believable.
Well, and I think the reason for that is because these are true peers. I mean, they're both professionals. They're both respected, and I think they respect one another because of that. So even though there are certainly romantic lovey-dovey scenes, most of the scenes between them that really click are ones where they're sort of dealing with each other on a professional basis, and how that falls out with some of the emotions, obviously, that they have for one another, and that dynamic tension, I think, is really what gives them their relationship, makes it worth watching.
Absolutely.
I want my wife to look at me the way that Hugh looks at Paul. That's all I'm saying.
Aww. Well, I know she occasionally wants to kill you, so I guess
Yeah,
that's a start.
So are you saying the Hugh Stamets relationship is more believable and more real than the, say, Seven and Chakotay relationship?
You are on sarcastic fire tonight, Jason.
I mean,
can we stop reusing jokes, please? Thank you.
Oh my God! Talk about the most forced relationship in the history of television. Oh my God!
Wait! No! There's still, you're forgetting Trip into Paul.
I don't think so. I thought that was pretty organic.
They did lay the groundwork for it in season 1, so it didn't come out of nowhere.
Those decon chamber scenes, yeah.
Yup.
No, the most forced relationship in Star Trek history was the EMH and 7.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was like the.
Hey, nothing beats Beverly and the Candle Ghost.
Well,
why? Hey, he beat you to it, Sean.
Why?
You're slipping up, man. You're slipping up.
I'm a little mad, but I'm glad that he brought it up. At the same time. I mean, truly, if we're being honest, the best romantic relationship in all of Star Trek was Odo and Quark. If we're going to be honest, but yeah,
more than Garrick and Bashir.
I would think Bashir and O'Brien.
No, that was a buddy relationship.
Yeah,
really. They were bros.
It was 2 steps away from being romantic. Romantic.
No. Don't get me started on my rant of you can't have emotional close male friendship in a straight way. Don't get me going. I'm gonna call Travis. Stop it.
It was too dark. It was 2 darts away from being a romantic relationship.
2 darts.
Stop it.
Yab it.
Okay, so anyone have anything else they want to say about Detmer before we move to some of the other characters? Travis?
I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna head out. I just can't think right now.
Oh, no
I'm
problem.
having trouble focusing.
No problem. Broke Travis. Can you just leave Lane? I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. But just let him listen.
But yeah, I'm gonna head out. You guys, I liked the episode. I liked the Mandalorian. Didn't care for the ending too much. I'll talk about it later. Bye.
Okay.
And that's the show, folks. Good night.
Florida man.
Okay, so let's talk about. We don't need to go one by one because I think it's probably better to deal with them all at once. But the other sporting characters in the ensemble, how do you think they were portrayed in this one, and where do you think they may be going?
I like what they did with Book in this episode. His moment with Giorgio was perfect, and my second favorite moment in the episode when Michael came to get him. Well, if you want to drown your sorrows in synthale,
Right.
Which I thought they didn't invent synthahol until after the original series.
They never really explained.
They never really explained it. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did you notice for you canonistas out there? Did you notice how they got around the fact that in TOS times they did not know that trills were joined?
I think the sphere data is going to play a huge role in knowledge for the Discovery crew.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a really great way they've figured out to get around some of those things. Son?
Nice.
I wanted to mention this because this was probably the only note I took about the episode. In the mess hall, there were those pictures of ships on the wall. And I swear to God, every time I look at those ships, I go, "Is that a Hector Ortiz sketch? Are those Star Trek Online ships?" Because it looks like the ships that have been sketched, like when they would go through some of the design roughs in the old Star Trek Online blogs.
I'm going to tell you what it was. It was straight up product placement for Eagle Moss, is what it was, because that was their entire Discovery collection that was on those walls. That's what you saw there.
Really? I'm going to have to go back and look at that.
I noticed. I caught on to that.
Yeah, I was going. I have that one, that one, that one, that one. I have all of these.
Wow.
It had all of them up there, and all you had. I mean, you would notice, oh, hey, look, there's that one. Oh, there's that one. There's
well,
that
it is product placement for sure, but at the same time, when you're on a limited budget, you take what you can get, and if you already have this stuff out there, why not use it? You know.
Exactly, just like the original series.
Yeah, when you've got like original sketches from the show, from the production, sometimes it's better to use them instead of just letting some asshole say he's going to auction them off and then put them into a
there
crate.
You go.
And then steal them. So, spoiler alert, folks! This is going to come up.
Okay, other characters you want to talk about? We got to see, reactions from. We're getting a little bit more each time from Reese. From I always have a hard time saying her name, Awakashun, whom I love. I'm loving her more and more each episode. She says so much with her face that she steals. Whenever the camera's on her, she steals the scene without stealing the scene. I mean,
she and Michael have the best hair.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's true. I did love the Tilly line when Tilly's like, "I don't know you, but come on, I know you, and you have the best hair."
Sweet, that was cute.
And I have to say, Joe, for the record, Burnham has better hair than you, but that's the only person I can think of who does.
Where did he go?
I think he's gone.
Joe,
God damn it!
Joe ghosted us again.
He toys with my emotions.
He didn't even say goodbye.
Say that there was one character that I was kind of really, I don't know, it's kind of mysterious to me. There's this one lady in like practically every scene in this episode, and it's this girl that has a single strand of like blonde hair on the side of her face. I'm like,
it's the actor who played Ariam.
It's the original Ariam. Yes.
This girl is so familiar and is like so
she's Lieutenant Nilsson. They introduced
you're
her
used to seeing her in Chrome.
Yeah.
Well, no. She was Ariam in season 1.
Right.
Oh.
And then in season 2, it was played by Hannah Cheeseman.
Yeah.
And she was the basically Ariam's replacement at the Spore Drive.
Right. Nilsson is her name.
Yeah, they
that's
killed
why you
off
see
the
her a
character,
lot.
but they couldn't get rid of the actress, so they recast her.
Well, they could, but they wanted to.
Didn't want to. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They wanted her to be more human than.
Well, they just didn't want to. I mean, they planned to kill Ariam, but they loved the actor, so they brought her back.
And let's be honest,
they tried to make the ship sentient, so they had to kill the one human that was an android or part android.
Well, we still got that big helmeted person, don't we?
Somewhere.
I have to believe that in the back of their mind, they're probably going, we cast this really beautiful woman to just cover her face in shit. Maybe we should, use her and have her.
Honestly, I don't think with this crew that was a number one on their minds. I think they genuinely liked this actor and they wanted to bring her back. If it was the Berman era, I'd say for sure. If it was TOS, I'd say for sure because that's how they cast people back then. But I think this one was much more about just her personality. They liked working with her, and they saw this as a way to bring her back.
Hey, I thought she looked pretty hot as an android or cyborg.
She was cybernetic. She was cyborg. Okay, so last chance on.
I think we're good. Let's go to Mandalorian.
Okay, great. No, before we go on, we have to do ratings for this episode out of 10. Who wants to go first? Ross?
I give this 4 paint bottles out of 4 paint bottles.
Oh wow, that's a lot of paint.
This was a really fun episode. It was great to see Earth. I'm fascinated by the fact that Earth is on its own, and with whatever that means for the rest of the Federation, what's happening to Vulcan, what's happening to all the other big member states that were a part of the Federation. I need to know more, and I want to know now.
Yeah, it was a good setup for that, for sure. Son, what about you? You don't have to use paint bottles.
Who left?
What?
No, she's right there.
What are we asking?
Your rating for the episode.
Jason.
Oh, okay. So my rating for this episode is 9.
Awesome.
9, really? Wow.
Yeah,
The sun's coming around.
This was a really strong. This is a really strong season period, and I think the more we get away from the other timelines, the stronger that this series will become.
I agree.
I agree too.
Yeah, I agree with that
100%.
as well. Good point.
You know,
Good point.
yeah.
Sean.
No, consistent with what I said back when we did the first episode, that I gave that episode a 9 because I expect there's going to be even better episodes. I'm giving this one a 9.25.
Wow.
So, because this is the best episode of the season so far. I would have given the episode a week before an 8. It was a good episode, but the first and the third episode so far have been the best in my opinion. The third being slightly superior to the first.
Okay, Jason, welcome back. We're doing ratings on the episode out of 10.
I'm giving it 2.5 out of 3
2.5
badges. Yeah, 2.5 badges.
You need to get your 4th goddamn badge because 3
It's
is not
ordered.
enough.
It's ordered.
It's coming. Can you put up like a temporary one just so that we have,
wait. How did you get half a badge?
It's got little itty bitty ones.
Yeah, it's a small badge.
I mean, listen,
I suffered the same problem. I only got 2.5 badges myself because I got the 2 badges in the Fitness Ranger, so it don't really count as a badge.
I enjoyed the episode. It was entertaining, but every time I heard Burnham talk about how she changed, it just drew me out of the story. It just pulled. It was like the Red Angel getting yanked back in time, or getting yanked out of the story. You know. The writing in that, the writing in like, show me, don't tell me, and I think they didn't take advantage of that. So I'm going to give it a 2.5 badges this week.
Okay, so that basically breaks down, if I do the math on that correctly, that's like an 8.3, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
I do want to point that out. That's a problem. That is something I'm kind of dreading this season. We have our trans character and the non-binary character and all this kind of stuff. Okay, you can make a story with it, but don't make it the character, please, for the love of God.
I love Sun. She gets representation, and she's like, "Fuck it, don't make it the only thing." I love it. Like, she's so straightforward about it. So I love you, Sun.
I'm also going to go with 9.5, which I think I gave it the same last week. It's definitely, it's definitely a lot better. I think now it's in its own stride. The timeline's perfect for it. I'm like with Ross. I want to know more. I want to know what happened to Bajor. I wonder if you're going to be seeing Bajor soon because of the badges we are getting. Spoiler alert.
Oh, I think that has nothing to do with it. I would be surprised if we saw Bajor, honestly.
Well, where would be the logical place to put a new Federation headquarters?
Vulcan?
Well, maybe. I mean, maybe they'll surprise us, but I don't think that's
Romulus.
Ferenginar.
Yeah.
No. Romulus. Think about it. Where better to hide the Federation than in plain sight of its former greatest enemy?
That actually is not a bad.
That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea because remember, the Romulans do not use dilithium. I don't think.
Nope.
They use singularity cores.
They have a singularity drive.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different drive.
So
I've been wondering about
it
that.
wouldn't have affected them. So remember that we're going to be seeing Romulus. Because which episode is it that's Unification
Unification Part 3.
So there's going to be something with Romulans in there. I don't know that they're going to be the cause of the burn, but they certainly probably are beneficiaries of it.
I'm calling it right now that the new Federation headquarters is on Bajor, if for no other reason, the tie to Miles O'Brien, making Miles O'Brien the most important person in the Federation.
I thought Miles left for Starfleet Academy, though.
He did, but his role on Bajor was his role on Deep Space Nine was, revolutionary, and his technical prowess will be the stories and the songs of many villages.
Apparently,
he was the story giver, the storyteller.
Was he?
We'll see. I'm just curious. How many think Bajor is going to be where we find the Federation? 2 of you think that? Anybody?
I'm just making shit up.
Packlet homeworld.
Packlet homeworld.
Wouldn't that be something? Oh my god.
Okay, I'm going to give my rating, and then we're going to move to Mandalorian. I'm giving it the lowest rating of all of us. I'm giving it a 7.5. And
you're fired.
Now who's the contrarian?
I guess so. And that's why I was so surprised you gave it such a high score, son. For me, the parts that really downgraded it, even though there was a lot to love in this episode. I love the way they portrayed Earth. I love the way that they, keep holding up the ideals of Starfleet. I loved all of that. The Burnham parts, though, it was just like boring. Jason put it, it took me out of the story. It's like you don't need to repeat it for me to get it, Sonequa Martin Green is a good enough actor that she can communicate this without your having to belabor the point. Yes. So that part really troubled me from a writing standpoint. Even though I like the 2 writers in this have done some of the stronger episodes in Discovery, but I just felt like the emotional part around Burnham just ended up feeling a little too cloying, right. and it being so much at the center of this episode, it just felt belabored.
I feel like
I can ignore the Burnham part, but still get an episode overall. Okay.
No, but I mean, if my prediction is they're phoning in advance justification for some Burnham actions later in the season, which they don't need to do. Like Carlos's point, they're
telegraphing it.
They're telegraphing it, and you don't need to do it. You can demonstrate it. You can because realistically, if they really are telegraphing in new Burnham, change Burnham, whatever, and she does one of those perceived betrayals of the Discovery crew down the road, it's going to lose. Even that will now lose its impact because of this being telegraphed in.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then the other part, and I complained about this earlier, so I won't go on about it, is just, I love her relationship with Book. I loved how, it spilled over into how he met Giorgio. I thought that was fantastic. Like, you can imagine the conversations she must have had with Book about all these different crew members. Yeah. Over the course of the last year. And so that was kind of cool to sort of imagine that backstory as we were seeing it unfold in the way that these 2 important people in her life who you might not ever have expected to meet end up meeting. And it's this great interaction between 2 amazing actors.
Can I call bullshit, though, on one thing?
What's that?
1 year and no...
Oh, you know what? It can happen.
We don't know that.
No, I'm sure he's not lying. I'm sure that's not what happened.
They fucked.
I don't think they did. I don't think they did.
You don't lie to Giorgio's face.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, he tried to lie.
Now
and Giorgio knew he was full of shit. So, yeah.
Okay, we're going to stand by our various opinions on that.
Real quick, I want to point something out here. I got a guy here, a new watcher here. His name's Greg Kirkley. Do me a favor, Justin, put up his post for his comment from 10:43 p.m.
Yeah, I got a message from him too. So
I did too. I got a direct message. So I wanted to address his concerns.
Which one?
Greg Kirkley.
Greg Kirkley, 10:43 p.m.
Mine
was 11:02.
Okay.
So,
I got it.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so here's the thing, Greg. I think I speak for everybody when I say welcome aboard. We're really glad you're watching, and it's great that you found us. I want to point out here is that there's absolute room for people who have constructive criticism for Disco. If you probably, I don't know how new you are to this, but I've been incredibly critical of Disco, especially with the first 2 seasons. I did like season 2 a lot more, but there was a lot missing in both the first 2 seasons for me. And if you've seen tonight, I mean, Justin has just been beating the shit out of this show tonight.
Justin.
I'm sorry, Jason. Jason has just beaten the shit out of
See, you did it too.
We're missing Zeb. That's the whole point. We're missing Zeb.
So look, here's the thing. We're I think at the end of the day, Greg, and I again appreciate your comments and everything. We are fans of the show, but we certainly like to pick up the things that might bug us. Carlos pointed out the thing that probably bugged me the most out of the whole episode was the exposition a la the Attack of the Clones between Anakin and Obi-Wan that Book and Burnham did. It drove me
I hated that.
Yeah, exactly.
I hated it because they did it over and over and over and over again, and it added nothing to the dramatic movement of the story.
No, but it gives you a sense of familiarity between these two.
But it's unearned. It's unearned. You've got 2 very strong actors here who can portray that without you having to do it in dialogue.
Right, I agree. And the fact of the matter, they already set that up that they've gone through a lot over the last year together, so they didn't really have to beat that dead horse for people with this unnecessary dialogue. So look, Greg, here's at the end of the day, buddy, we are fans of the show, even though so we're not gonna just shit on it. We're gonna point out what we liked.
Well, I think he's arguing the other side, that we're being too nice to it.
Well, I mean, fair enough. I mean, if that's what he thinks, and then everybody has their own opinion on it. But it's like I'm a fan of the Orville, even though I massively shit on that show.
That's true. Me too.
I own both seasons of that show.
What do you call it?
How can you shit on shit?
Oh.
What did I call the Orville? What do you mean?
I said, how can you shit on shit?
I know what you said. I'm talking to Justin.
What was the nickname he gave the Orville ship?
What did I give it?
Well,
he gave it some nickname.
Oh, the flying vagina. I think I called it that before.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I think Greg, thank you for your comment, and I don't want to go over stuff that Sean just said, other than to say that we do invite and entertain and try to make entertaining other points of view about the show and the series. And I mean, that's one of the big reasons why one of the big roles Sun plays is that she always makes sure that we don't turn into too much of a group thing. But
right.
But yeah, so no, we appreciate constructive.
I'm the only person here that likes all of the Orville and doesn't try to shit on it actively.
Right, exactly.
That is true. Which I don't understand that. Plus, you refuse to watch Lower Decks.
Right. I couldn't stomach it, so
yeah, exactly. Which is fine,
See, that's the one thing that we're from all walks of life. We like what we like, we don't like what we like, but we all get along.
And then we got
all fucking batshit crazy.
And then we have our sometimes regular guest who's in our comments tonight on the show, who pointed out that the tree has more range than Burnham, which
I completely disagree with. I love it when we disagree.
It's close.
And I suspect we're going to be seeing more disagreement when we move to The Mandalorian, which we will in just a minute. Okay, so 7.5 for me. You guys thought a lot more of the episode than I did, even though I think there was a lot to love. And I think as a setup for the rest of the season, it was fantastic. It just had some writing weaknesses that were pretty glaring to me.
I'm just limited with 3.5 badges, so that's kind of where I'm stuck.
Yeah, well, you need to convert to a different system there, Mister.
But the badges are apropos.
Well, but you need more badges.
I have one coming.
You need 5. You need 5.
Call Eagle Moss and tell him to get more badges.
We'll get the TNG badge.
This segment.
Can we move on to the child, please? Thank you.
Please.
Yes.
This segment of Super Geeks is brought to you by Fansets, even though they're not giving us any money whatsoever.
Give us money.
Hey, look what I have. Fansets, not a sponsor.
No.
Yet.
Yet. Okay, good one. All right, that wraps up our.
There's actually a comment about that in the chat.
About Eagle Moss.
No. I said speaking of money. There's a
Susanna Chizone's asking if we accept a couple dollars.
We don't have any donation stuff set up, Susanna. And
yeah,
yes,
we don't at this point. I know George was always interested in doing that, and Justin has expressed some interest in doing that too. I think in a lot of ways, I'm looking as we're sort of refining the format of the show and some of the technology behind the show, and try to create a bigger value proposition from the show. As we move in that direction more and more as we develop, I think we may move to that at some point. But I think right now we're just kind of still feeling our way about how we want to do this and how we want to present things. And then when we settle into more of a standard thing, we might move to a formal donation system.
But my wife would like that sooner rather than later, since I'm paying for StreamYard. Just saying.
Oh, that's true. How much is StreamYard's?
It's like $25 a month.
Okay, so there you go. At home, $25 a month we could use.
Exactly.
Okay, great. All right, we're gonna move to Mandalorian next, because it had its season 2 premiere late Thursday night, early Friday morning, and just in time for Halloween. And thank you. I was just going to say, Justin, can you put up the Mandalorian? So, okay, so this, we've been waiting almost a year for season 2. It's here. We got more Baby Yoda. We got more Mandalorian. We got more goddamn Tatooine. Can't we find some other planet? Sorry, that's where I'm starting off here. Okay, so let's start off with...
we got more Amy Sedaris.
Oh, yeah. No, that was great. I love her.
I love her so much.
So let's start off with just kind of first impressions of what you thought about The Mandalorian after our Mandalorian drought for so many months. Let's start with Sun.
I did not realize that the alien was John Leguizamo.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't.
I saw the credits, but I couldn't tell who it was. I had to find.
Didn't even sound like him.
It does once you go back and listen to him, because he's from New York, so he's got the same kind of New York sensibility to the way he talks, and it's more obvious once you know. But I didn't notice either at first. What else? Anything else, Son?
We found out that Boba Fett ate the Sarlacc.
No, the dragon ate the Sarlacc.
Yeah, the dragon ate the Sarlacc. Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc.
It's finally on-screen canon. I'm so happy. Thank you very much.
I know you're very happy about that.
Wait.
Oh yeah, do the alert.
We know? All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to explain to you why. And my boys, if you need my boys to come on and explain it to you, I'll have them do it too. Okay, because this is the first point that we really paused the show for them to explain. For them to explain to me, my 11 and 9-year-old, that the only way the Jawas could have gotten that armor is if Boba Fett had escaped the Sarlacc pit, because they weren't going to go down to the bottom of the Sarlacc pit to get that armor. So, damn it. Boba Fett.
They weren't. But that means Boba Fett took his armor off.
No, he could have been knocked out, and I bet you they just picked it off of him while they found him. They found him lying out there. I bet you it's exactly what happened, because that's how the Jawas roll, baby.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. I was thinking more of a vomit situation, because we saw the dragon vomit a lot. I couldn't tell. Was it acid or was it
was
just
acid.
gross? It was acid.
No, it wasn't. Because Mando was covered in it at the end of the episode.
Well,
He's
got
also
Beskar
covered
armor.
in Beskar.
Yeah, but
Only over certain parts of his body, not all of it.
Right, exactly. The rest of that is all.
We saw steam coming up. We saw people getting hit in there, and them saying the dragon's picking us off like flies, implying that they're being killed.
He was eating them.
Wait a minute. It is also possible that this is kind of like what is it? There are some species of lizards that are able to cast their stomach acid at what they intend to eat as a means to immobilize. So it may not have been like he may have just been like in the throat and not reached the stomach yet.
Maybe.
I don't know about that, because where that thing blew up was pretty much in the stomach at the end.
Well, but that's where the bantha went. That doesn't necessarily mean that's where Mandalorian went.
Oh, okay.
Sure, because he was on his way out before it blew up.
And he's got a rocket pack, which a bantha doesn't.
I wanted a couple of things here. My favorite Easter egg in the whole goddamn thing was not the appearance at the end of You Know Who, but it was the appearance of R5F7. And not just R5.
Come on, Red. Let's go, Red.
It was the original, because if you pay attention to the back of its top, it's where the bad motivator blew in A New Hope. There's the burn mark in the spot from where the thing blew out. It's fucking great.
You are truly a super geek.
Oh yeah, and let me again. My boys picked it up second before I did, which is even better.
I saw it because I was like, "Hey, look, it's R5."
I just thought it was just another R5 unit.
In fact, I said, look, they're like, Hayden's going, look. I go, oh yeah, we're the bad actor in front. Hayden got pissed at me. He's like, bad motivator.
I love your kids so much.
You're a bad motivator. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah. Okay, Jason, how do you want to weigh in general impressions first?
Oh, I mean, so much to see. So Timothy Oliphant,
which I did not recognize him.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I know he looks familiar, but he didn't look like himself. He looked great though. Go ahead.
You just broke me with what you just said, because he looked exactly like Timothy Oliphant.
I know. Really, what happened?
I think it was the beard and the salt and pepper. I'm not sure. But he did not come across to me as, it's Timothy Oliphant.
So we had Timothy Oliphant. We had, and again, it makes sense to go back to Tatooine because he's looking for a Mandalorian that's been seen on Tatooine. And we only know one other Mandalorian in the Star Wars universe that we've really kind of know. And we last saw him on Tatooine. So it makes sense that Mando would go back to Tatooine. We got that whole, man against nature vibe going on, which is what this show's done a lot of. It's we've had some man versus man fights, but I love how this show it isn't just tied to interpersonal conflicts between people, but we have that tension between what's going on and the people drama and the natural drama. I love that Mando got the suit back through a kind of a deal as opposed to just kicking Timothy Oliphant's ass, and I think I'm excited, looking forward to him coming back. And I'm not convinced that was Boba Fett at the end.
Oh my god!
You think it was a clone warrior?
I think he could be Rex.
Rex.
He'd have the beard.
It ain't Rex, dude.
Why would Rex be on Tatooine? He's with the New Republic. He was at Endor.
We'll see.
He's a hero of the.
Well,
of
apparently
the
everyone has to end up at Tatooine, so who knows?
Well, yeah, they retconned one of the older soldiers with a big white beard.
Well, the big fan rumor right now is Rex is Boba Fett.
No.
No, they've already established that bearded dude in Jedi was, he was Rex. So I'm not buying that. I cannot subscribe.
And it's the same actor that played Boba Fett is the one that was in this one, wasn't it?
Well, that doesn't mean anything. They're all clones of him.
They're all clones of. Well, no, it wasn't the actor who played Boba Fett. It was the actor who
it's
played
either a clone
Fett.
or it's Boba.
Okay.
Well, Boba is a clone.
Yeah, Boba is a clone of Jango, the first one.
Details.
I'd like to point something out too. Did you notice how ill-fitting that armor was on him?
Yeah,
yeah. I thought
Timothy
Oliphant,
yes.
Yeah, and that's what was so brilliant about it, because they could have made it
still kind of hot.
Well, yeah, they could have made it. They could have made it just fit him, but the reality of it is Timothy Oliphant's 6 feet tall, and Tamora Morrison is 5'7". So I mean, they were kind of smart about how they did that. They made it so that it didn't fit him for a reason. And I think Jeremy Bullock too. I don't think he was a very tall guy either.
Well, they also to make it seem like the armor didn't really belong to him. That's one of the important things I think they were trying to get by too.
Yeah, no, they definitely accomplished that. they definitely accomplished that. Okay, Ross, why don't you go? First impressions.
I was very impressed by this episode. I was curious where they were going to lead off. Interesting seeing Tatooine again. Loved seeing the lady in the hangar. And in the montage leading up to getting to the village, I was very impressed the first time seeing him camping out with Tusken Raiders. I know how isolationist those people are, how hostile they are to anyone who isn't
A Tusken
them.
Raider.
But at the same time, when you think about it, Mandalorians and the Tusken Raiders have a lot of things in common. We don't know a lot about them in actual canon, but in beta canon, we know that Tusken Raiders also, like the Mandalorians, conceal themselves from the outside world. They only take off their masks and wrappings when they're in private with family and trusted friends. So there's a kind of a spiritual connection there. So when we see him start to interact with the Tusken Raiders later on, actually forging an alliance, which is mind-blowing, it was really something. Seeing this, kind of bridging these two hostile groups together to fight against a monster, which looks very different than what I pictured it. It was really cool. The Krayt Dragon fought one in Knights of the Old Republic. It looked very different then, but I really like how it looked. Very, very sandwormish, I gotta say.
Yeah, I got definitely kind of way it jumps up and
the way
like,
it burrowed
sandworm.
through rock. It burrowed through its tunnel to get to the top of that ridge.
Mountain, dude. It was eating mountains and shit.
Yeah.
It was fucking amazing.
Yeah, my guess is it doesn't do that normally, but it was pissed off. Anyway, the whole Tusken Raider thing, I'll get back to that later because I have some issues with it, although I like your point of view on that, Ross, but I'll come back to it after we've heard from some other folks. Jason. What is going on at your house, Sean?
What is going on, Sean?
And are your kids wearing pants?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Jason, what did you think of the episode? First impressions.
Don't you mean Justin? I already gave my first impressions.
Yes.
Remember
Justin.
Timothy Oliphant?
Yes, Justin. Thank you.
Damn
This
it,
is
Carlos.
terrible. I know this is.
And we
awful.
got name tags. There's nope.
His says Ensign Beard Fassé, and it's throwing me off.
What?
Okay, go ahead, Justin. What did you think of the episode?
I thought overall it was good. It seemed to pick up right where we left off, which is, I was thankful for that. Like, you didn't do one of those time. 1 year later, time passed, they literally picked up right where they left off. And I'm with you, Carlos. I'm sick of Team Tatooine at this point. I mean, we've been there, done that. They could have went somewhere else in the Star Wars universe, like Coruscant or something. I'm like, anything with Tatooine, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be such a backwater, and yet it.
It seems like they can only go like 3
But
places.
that's where the Mandalorian, other Mandalorian was.
Well, conveniently, I don't think that was.
He didn't have to be. They could have changed.
They could have put him anywhere.
Right. They established that in the opening scene of the episode, and they didn't really have to. I don't have a problem like these folks do, but I mean, the point is they could have put him somewhere else. They didn't have to.
That's where Boba Fett was.
But he wasn't
on
looking for
Tatooine.
Boba Fett. He
Well,
was
this
looking
is the
for
thing.
someone else.
See, and now Jason's just falling on his own petard. Okay, so
No, you fall on a sword and
or
you're
you
hoisted
hoist on
by
your
it.
own petard.
No, he was looking for a Mandalorian that was on Tatooine. The Mandalorian that was on Tatooine was Boba Fett.
Okay, no, that's not true. What he was looking for was a Mandalorian. The guy that he found said, the only one I know of is on Tatooine. Slightly different.
Right, but here's the thing.
And that's because of rumors, because the Marshal was using the armor to protect the town.
Right.
And so it made it look like there was a Mandalorian there.
I think son wants to say something.
Someone say something.
Son.
I would like to point out that maybe this was kind of like a. I don't want to get into the details of Boba Fett's armor and all of it, because it's all bullshit to me. Honestly, I don't care. I really just hope that this was a way for us to pick up Amy Sedaris into the ship, like permanently.
Well, I would love that. I think one of the best things they could do.
I mean,
with the show
we
was to get
did
her
just
off of
lose
goddamn
Quill
Tatooine.
and the robot for taking care of the baby, and now we have the both of them in one person.
True.
I could live with
But
that.
they ended up killing them off too. So I don't. her chances of survival long term may not be very
So
good.
long as Cara Dunn survives, I will be okay. If she dies, I will riot.
You hear that, Dave
Oh
Filoni?
God! Don't why did you have to go and jinx everything there, Ross?
Are you kidding me? You
Well,
can't
if we're
kill
going by Twitter standards, she's already canceled.
Yeah, well, fuck Twitter.
Well,
Okay,
fuck Twitter.
so one of the things I wanted to point out.
Twitter's killed Bill Nye like 6 times. I don't care about Twitter.
He keeps coming back.
Yeah.
So
he got clones.
One of the things I wanted to point out, and we've discussed this before, is the attention to detail that this series takes place from one episode to the next. And what caught my attention was when he landed in Tatooine, and she told him immediately, told the droids, "Oh no, he doesn't like droids," and he was like, "No, that's fine. Let him give it a once over." And when you think about this, this is directly a result of.
Is this supposed to be character development?
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, because this is directly a result of what happened with IG-11 in the final scene of the last episode of season 1.
Yeah.
You know, it changed his perspective. It clearly, because he was like, "Not let him have it." I mean, like, didn't even hesitate with that. So, you know, that was kind of a nice little touch in there, I thought.
Very good. All right, let me drink back.
Okay, have we gotten everybody? I think we got everybody except me. Okay, so you've already heard a preview in terms of Tatooine. There's a whole galaxy, folks. There's a whole galaxy, and so it smacks to me of just fan service. Let's put it on Tatooine again, so we can put in more Easter eggs, so we can bring back Boba Fett, etc., etc. And it's like that is not really the direction long term I want to see in this show.
Let's add more cheese wedge and Jawas.
Yeah. Wait, what do I agree with? Wait. Who am I agreeing with?
That is on Tatooine. That needs to be somewhere else other than Tatooine. You actually agree with me on that one.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Look, Tatooine is as iconic to Star Wars as the Imperial Star Destroyer.
But we've been there, done that.
Yeah, I mean we have an entire.
We've been there and done that on Earth too, but we keep going back.
Well, but Earth is a lot more substantial than Tatooine. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's just not.
Tatooine is where it all started.
Sure, it is, but it's now currently where they're doing a fan circle jerk because. I'm sorry. It's like it didn't have to be.
I would agree with you if they were doing the same thing over and over again.
Well, they started it at Tatooine
but
this time.
This was the only lead he had, and he was following it.
They could have made that lead go anywhere.
Except the Mandalorian was last seen.
There's more than one Mandalorian, dude.
But the one that guy knew about was the one that was on
and that was a writing choice. They could have
because they're bringing in
Boba Fett
fan service.
Okay, I don't necessarily know if it's fan service. I'm going to tell you. Here's what I think. I think that they wanted to establish at the end of the episode that Boba Fett is going to somehow play a part in this. I think in order for them to do that, I think they kind of came to the conclusion is we got to put this episode on Tatooine and make this to kind of flow this together accordingly. My theory on this is that we're going to see, like with Moff Gideon, we're going to see Boba Fett basically stalking Mando during the course of the season, and they're going to finally come to some kind of meeting, confrontation, whatever. But I think in order to do that, they didn't really. I think they felt that they had to at least have him on Tatooine for this episode. I doubt you'll be seeing Tatooine again.
God,
this is fan wank.
Unless we pick up the next episode right where we left off.
Maybe. I mean, Boba Fett's got to get somewhere. Presumably he's been there for years now.
And Boba Fett would have a better idea where to find Jedi than anybody else.
There's a plot point from last season that is a thing here. I believe. Wasn't it here on Tatooine where the witch lady was?
Yes.
So what if the Boba Fett character is actually the guy who found her?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Is that the witch lady from like the Endor movies?
No. The one in the last season who was like casting fire and shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe.
I want to see the witch lady on Endor.
Let's hope.
What I felt about this episode was it was a fine episode. I mean, but we're seeing, and I know I went down this road last season, and thankfully they pulled it out halfway through because each episode seemed to be the same episode, just in a different place. Mando comes in, they don't trust him, he ends up saving everybody by getting them to team up. We've seen this before in this show, and we've seen it again, and this show needs to do more than that. It's just repeating beats. It needs a new plot formula than that.
Welcome to the problem with every Western.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why Westerns as a genre have not survived, really. I mean, you get the occasional Western and people like it because of nostalgia, but in terms of an ongoing genre, it's burned out, and this is one of the reasons why.
Captain Mal Reynolds would disagree with you.
Well, but they used a lot of Western themes in Firefly, but that's not they did not repeat these same beats in episode after episode after episode. I think they harvested the best kind of tropes from Westerns in Firefly, but the stories were good stories. They were stories that changed from week to week, episode to episode. And what we're seeing is a repetition from episode to episode. And that will be the death of this show. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but if they keep doing it, it will, because it's just going to get boring. I mean, look at The Mandalorian. And Greg, I hope you're still watching because we're disagreeing right now. Look at The Mandalorian himself. I'm sorry, but he was kind of a Mary Sue in this episode.
Whoa!
I know them's fighting words.
Them's
fighting words. But look at it. It's like when everything looked like it was gonna. He magically knows how to speak Tuscan. And by the way, I did love the Tuscan language. It was great. I loved the way that he did that.
Good night.
But
Good night, Susanna.
That's the combined hand gestures really sold it for me.
Really sells it. I totally agree.
I could be wrong, but this is not the first time that he's had interaction with Tuscans.
He did this with the kid when they were going to fight the witch lady.
Bingo. Right. Yeah. That's
I liked making of the Tuscan Raiders more than just
I like
Aboriginals.
That too. I just felt like it was just very convenient that he happens to be completely fluent in Tuscan, and just because he speaks the language that they're going to, listen to him. And there's plenty of us who speak the same language who still disagree.
There could be some kind of history between Mandalorians and the Tuscan people to begin with.
Maybe. So let's see more of that,
You need to know a lot about their history too. So I mean, I get this. I get this idea that he knows these people. He's dealt with these people before, and there's one thing that I think we've seen from this character is that he really is. It's like he tries to kind of understand all of the different people and races that he comes in contact with. It's knowing your enemy or if they're an ally. The fact that
but that's not just something you can read up on. Remember, these are Mandalorians. They go from job to job to job to job.
That's it.
And their creed is that when you're done with one job, you're supposed to forget about that job. You have to spend some real time with these people to really understand who they are and what motivates them and what their culture is all about, etc. And I just don't see him having had that kind of life.
Well, I mean, we also don't know if the Mandalorian armor don't have some type of translator built in. We know they got armor built in. So
wait, what?
Translator?
I know.
Apparently, Beskar is also artificially intelligent. There's no indication of that.
We know. Well, we saw in Boba Fett's armor that they had a targeting device. So I mean,
my point being is that when you're in the line of work that he's in, it's through experience, you have to learn about people and their culture because you're going to have to deal with them, and as he did in the first season when he dealt with the Tusken Raiders to work a deal out with them to make that trade with them. in order that they could advance here. He knew to do that. I mean, that's just not something that you don't learn from experience. And you have to imagine that he didn't just put on his armor one day and say, "I'm going to be a bounty hunter." He must have had training and mentors along the way.
Well, of course, once he was saved by the Mandalorians and adopted by them, he's a Mandalorian. I mean, that was just the path he was going to take.
Yeah, but the difference between it's one thing to be a Mandalorian, it's another thing to be a member of the Bounty Hunters Guild.
The guild, yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. In his line of work, it's essential to understand the cultures that you have to deal with by necessity for tracking down your bounties. So that's my point here, is that it does make sense to me that he would understand how to deal with the Tusken Raiders. He would understand that he would have to pick up their language, and
you don't just pick up languages; they take time to learn.
Some people have a proficiency. They can.
I think it's a stretch. Sorry, it's a Mary Sue stretch.
Just enjoy.
I agree with your point. I just don't see him having had the time to do that. It just seemed very convenient, more as a plot device than any real sort of sense of character development for this guy. All right, I made the fighting words. Who wants to fight?
Yeah, fuck.
I think you're
tired to fight.
I think you could go either way. Again, I think there's probably some. I think we're going to find out that he has a greater connection to the Tusken Raiders than than just him understanding their language. But we'll see this play out. We have 8 episodes a season, so 7 more episodes.
Too few. Does this mean we have to come back to Tatooine? God damn it. Anyway, I won't belabor that point, other than, my criticism here is sort of a pre-criticism. Like I said, I enjoyed this episode. I did. I just don't want more episodes like this. I just want to see different kinds of challenges, different kinds of allies and enemies. I want some more complexity in the storytelling. This just felt like, the Magnificent 7 minus 6. Minus 5 because the Marshal.
I'm still kind of waiting for Sun to go off on the Western tropes like she did last week about Discovery.
Well, but unlike Discovery, the Western tropes in The Mandalorian have been there from the beginning and consistently from episode to episode.
He rode into town on his horse, and he was galloping past people on the horse, everybody giving each other side eye. It was like way worse of a trope than what we saw last week.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, but it was a very scenic one.
It was very scenic. I kept wondering how much of their AR wall they used.
How much is volume and how much is real? I kept doing the same thing because it was magnificent.
No, it looked fantastic.
I would actually like to talk about the music for this episode. How many fucking remixes were there of the Mandalorian theme?
Is that a bug or a feature?
There was that rock guitar version when he was fighting in the bar. There was
there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough of that song.
I agree. Yep. And by the way, if
techno version,
I disagree. It's getting old.
Oh, God, Harumph.
Oh, and we've discussed twice now that there are cheese wedges in Discovery, and it just occurred to me that there's a cheese wedge on Tatooine. The Jawa's crawler is a cheese wedge.
Oh, that's true. Oh. Yeah, it may have been the original cheese wedge.
Oh, come on! That's such a stretch.
You know what? You know what pairs well with a cheese wedge? The worst.
Oh, here you go. You did it.
Well played, son. Well played. Okay. Anyone else? What was there anything you guys didn't like? Because you're all kind of lapping at the door of the Mandalorian here. I mean, if they if they move on to other kinds of stories in different places, I am fine with this episode. But if this
More
is what we're
Baby
gonna be seeing
Yoda.
more of, there wasn't not enough Baby Yoda.
I agree.
Oh
with
no,
that.
he was there.
He was
there all
there
the
reacting.
Exactly. I loved it. I was watching it tonight with Silas. Silas was with me. He's like, "Daddy, why are you laughing?" I'm like, "Cause it's Baby Yoda."
Okay, I'm turning.
My kid. I don't know if she is still watching or not, but she absolutely.
You guys are so
adores Baby
easily
Yoda.
manipulated.
Yeah, we are.
And that's
So,
coming from someone who loves Baby Yoda.
Well,
I kept saying to myself, I kept quoting Carl Weathers and going, "Do the magic hands, over and over again in this episode," and he never did them.
I kept
He
expecting him to
didn't.
levitate the dragon.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
what good are you, Baby Yoda?
Oh no!
Earn your
you
keep.
didn't.
No, you didn't.
Oh, Carlos.
I'm feeling feisty tonight, folks. I don't
There
mind
is
telling
one
you.
thing I didn't kind of like this episode.
Complaint line.
Wait, that was a complaint line? That was not a complaint line.
I'm going to be sending you complaints if you keep bad mouthing Baby's Yoda role in this episode.
So, I didn't like that we didn't get a good look at whatever the hell had the red eyes that ate John Leguizamo when he shot the lamp.
Oh, that
When the
alien. Okay.
Mandalorian shot the lamp. The street
Well, I think
lamp.
the whole point was we were never supposed to get it. They lurked in the shadows.
Right.
The
You're right.
shadows.
Yeah, that was.
I wanted to see him get eaten. See, I'm a fan of gore. I wanted to see him get eaten. I loved the scene where they're picking apart the inner carcass of the dragon.
Oh, it looked tasty. I want to throw some of that on the grill.
Well, he
did take off a piece with it.
Yeah.
Another thing to note: they pulled a dragon egg out. That's what
Yes.
That wasn't an egg. That was
What
a
was
pearl.
It was a pearl.
That was a pearl. It's a very prized, very insanely valuable item that's only found on the innards of crate dragons.
And let me guess, it's in beta canon. Is that where we learned
now
that?
canon, yeah.
No, there's no. It's not beta canon anymore.
Well, not anymore, but I mean that's where it comes from. Because watching it as someone who doesn't know that canon, I was like, it's an egg.
It is incredibly sacred to the Tusken Raiders.
Oh, okay. No, that's great to know. I just wish I knew it.
It's kind of like the egg that the Jawas like eating so much.
Oh, that was funny. That's actually what I thought it was at first.
Carlos, you know what's bad is I'm not even that big of a Star Wars nerd, and even I knew that one.
Really?
You did?
Why would you know about crate dragons?
That's the Old Republic.
It's in a game, yeah.
Oh, yeah, games. Harumph. Harumph.
Harumph all you want.
It's what I do.
They still exist.
I never got through all of that game. I had to put it down. So
and you gotta remember, okay, the old stuff back before the statement on canon, when they kind of changed things up. It's not that the old stuff isn't still canon from the legends, quote unquote legends. What it comes down to is they simply said we're not going to be tied to it. So unless we do something on screen that contradicts it, you can still consider it canon. And all they did this time was just affirm it for us, which is great.
On Wikipedia, so I know you guys broke out Memory Alpha A earlier. Wikipedia says that basically a crate dragon pearl could be used because it's formed of kyber, can be used in a lightsaber.
Oh, now see, that's cool. I kind of like that it's formed of kyber.
Well, does this mean that might be how they forged the dark saber? The Mandalorians forged the dark saber?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think if he uses a lightsaber, that would be a really bad choice.
No, but there's a Force user in his company who's eventually going to need a lightsaber.
Fair enough.
Maybe once he turns 100 years old.
Sure.
Okay, so let's talk about the rest of the episode. It sounds like I'm the only one who had issues with it. Am I wrong? Did anyone else have issues with it?
I was thinking the same thing you were. That it's not an issue so much because I thoroughly enjoyed the episode, but it did occur to me that this was again another Western gunslinger episode is what it was, and get the whole town
Because
together.
the series is a Western gunslinger series.
I mean, am I the only one who watched this episode going, man, I really hate the fact that the new Tremors movie is set in Jurassic Park. I'm not even kidding.
That's funny.
There is a new Tremors movie that is like set on an island, and they're Jurassic Park themed. I'm like, this was a much better Tremors movie.
It did remind me of Tremors. That's true. Yeah, because remember in Tremors, it didn't go through rock. Like, it avoided rock, which is what it
avoided
did as well.
harder rocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did that in the first movie.
Well, that's the only one I saw. So, which I loved.
Yeah, the ones in Africa were a bit more durable.
Africa. Jesus.
Africa.
Yeah. How many Tremors movies has there been now?
8.
I mean, there's been
8?
I don't know.
That's
7
too many.
Is
I don't know. The
either
latest
6
one is
or 8.
called- The latest one is called Shrieker Island, and I swear to God, it's Jurassic Park themed.
The only reason I know that is because of Sean. I blame you.
Yeah, like I said, who in your life did you ever expect that Dad from Family Ties was going to be the action hero of our generation? It never even occurred to me that would happen, but it has.
I think it's a stretch. But anyway, back to the Mando. Okay, so one of the things I'm struggling with this show, and I recognize this as a challenge, is how much and in which way do you want to use Baby Yoda? 6 ways?
No, there were 7 Tremors movies.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Because, on
Plus
the one
TV
hand,
series.
he's cute, and the cute factor is important for the kitty poos. And apparently some adults as well, since I'm looking at all these faces of Baby Yoda lovers. So you want to you obviously want to have enough FaceTime with Baby Yoda to sell Baby Yoda dolls. But like, do you guys feel the same issue I have with this? It's like, this is a huge challenge if you don't use him enough. Like, aside from just him showing up and being cute, like, there should be something he's doing that's relevant to the plot, not just reacting to everything.
He didn't do anything really relevant to the plot until the last 2 or 3 episodes of last season.
And that's why it was so great. Why, the season, the first half concerned me, and the second half I thought was fantastic because finally he was doing stuff.
But
I don't want to go backwards and having him not doing anything until the
Baby
second half of
Yoda
the
is the
season.
MacGuffin, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and so
The problem with that is, and I agree with you on that, but the problem with being a MacGuffin is it means you're ultimately not important. And he is important.
Well, no, the MacGuffin is important because it's the thing that drives the story forward. So,
Yeah, but it ultimately is not really what the story is about. Like, it's a device. It doesn't represent a real goal as far as the characters are concerned.
Damn, it got quiet in here.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you, Justin. Oh, you're yawning. I thought you were just like stupefied by my brilliance.
No, I'm.
It's getting late, guys.
We need to probably.
At this point, I look at the Baby Yoda thing and I'm like, I understand. You this entire episode, you literally could have left You could have left Baby Yoda with Amy Sedaris and had like the same shit that went on the last time, because that was more fun and interactive with Baby Yoda than what went on this episode. Like, you have Baby Yoda wandering around having misadventures with the little droids, and Amy Sedaris like just freaking the fuck out because Baby Yoda's gone missing, and then he's up there, and then he's over there, and it's like, and that would have been like a better use of Baby Yoda than Baby Yoda's in a pouch. Now Baby Yoda's in a spittoon. Now Baby Yoda's closing the lid on this thing.
I enjoyed Baby Yoda. I enjoyed his reactions. His reactions were made for me. was just made the show a little bit lighter. Like, I mean, it was a pretty serious episode.
Well,
and
from
so,
a plot point, I agree with you on one particular plot point, Jason, and that is when Mando was having his face-off with the Marshal, and they're both about to reach for their guns. Or no, it's before that, when he says, I had you pegged wrong, because he thought he was going to have to end up, in a shootout with him. And he says, I think maybe I had you pegged wrong because of the kid. Because he, so he played this role in keeping them from going, right into conflict, and that was kind of a cool use of Baby Yoda. But the rest was all just reaction shots.
Yeah, I mean, I felt Baby Yoda was underutilized. Probably could have just been left on a ship. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong, I'm a Baby Yoda fan. Don't shoot me.
I am too. I love Baby Yoda.
I felt he could have been used better in this episode instead of just being there. I mean, that's pretty much what he was. He was there for reaction shots and nothing else. And he got kicked to the side once, I think, during a fight.
Yeah, there was. I can't get over what son said. It's Baby Yoda in the pouch. Baby Yoda on the beach. Baby Yoda at Disneyland.
Don't forget Splatoon.
I mean, right? It was like she's basically describing. It's like your photo roll of your vacation you went on, and there's Baby Yoda. You took him everywhere. I like it.
Baby Yoda going to the bar. Baby Yoda going to
basically what happened. Look. The Baby Yoda having a sippy cup of that soup would have been more interaction than what we had out of Baby Yoda this episode.
Hey, he hit in the jar.
Hey, Justin, put up the Carlos agreement achievement again because I agree with Son.
Yes. Oh my God, hell is frozen over 2020. Take me away.
Baby Yoda on Splash Mountain going wee.
Wee. I mean, okay.
I just hope they find
that show, Sean.
I just hope they find some more creative ways to use Baby Yoda. Is all I'm saying.
God, I hope so too. Because at this point, he was just basically there for, shits and giggles. I mean, he was just there because viewers love him, and they just put him in there. He's like,
he's there because he's what Mando's doing. Like, he's a freaking.
Okay, honestly, they could have taken
one. Baby Yoda in the labyrinth doing the magic dance.
Oh fuck!
Listen, he's not leaving Baby Yoda anywhere because Baby Yoda, every time he leaves the child anywhere, it gets into trouble, and he knows he's got Gideon after him. He knows that there's like this bounty on this child's head. He's not leaving this.
Does he know that Gideon's still alive?
I mean, it doesn't matter. He knows that there's a bounty on the child's head. So he's not leaving that with. He's not doing that again. The reason what put him trying to find out information about returning the child is what pushed him to go to Tatooine, because he heard there was a Mandalorian there, and trying to make contact with those contacts. Trying to get connected with those contacts. Like, that's what Baby Yoda was there for this week, was just to be the motivation around what Mando was doing, what Mando had to achieve, which was try to find this other Mandalorian. He comes across the guy wearing the suit. Now that's sacrilegious.
But that's rendering him basically just a MacGuffin, and he's supposed to be a character.
Speaking of MacGuffin, I see we're kind of running on 2 hours and 27 minutes here. Do we want to move our Axanar topic for a day or two away?
Yeah, we beat this horse to death here, I think.
Yeah. I've already moved all my topics to next week.
Yeah,
so
let's do the Axanar thing. Let's do a sideshow maybe to cover that one if you want to. Or...
Yeah, let's do that as a side. Let's wind up with ratings on this episode, and then what are we watching? And we'll wind up the show.
Okay, sound good. Let's do it.
Okay, so ratings. Sean, why don't you start us off this time?
I give it a 9. The truth of the matter with the episode is, it was fucking great. But I was thinking about this. They could have put that episode smack dab in the middle of the first season, and you wouldn't have known the difference.
Exactly, and that's my problem with it.
Okay, but it was great. It was still fucking great though. But yeah. But it could have been a season 1 episode.
Okay, but that's only a 1 point off.
Opener, it was kind of weak. Yeah, I gotta agree.
Okay, so Justin, you also give it a 9 or what?
I give it a 9. I would have given it higher. Like I said, if they would have made use of Baby Yoda this episode, I mean, they at least made use of him last season. minute ways. This one, he was just kind of sitting in the capsule, getting kicked around, or he was just there as a prop, more or less. I mean, it really was just kind of pointless in my point of view, other than to get the views of all the fans for Baby Yoda. I'm a fan of Baby Yoda.
Okay, we get it.
Yeah,
we get it. So 9 from you, Son.
I give it an 8.5.
Whoa.
This was Star Wars: The Tremors episode.
Star Wars Tremors. I like it. Ross, how about you?
I'm giving it a slightly used paint palette.
Out of how many pallets? I'm not sure what the metric is here.
No. It's a good rating. It's a 1 out of 1. No. I just.
We're tired, folks. Sorry.
Anyway, I really enjoyed this episode. I liked it.
I gotta go. Be right back.
Okay.
Go
ahead, Ross.
That time of night for Justin. So yeah, it was a solid episode. It was good. I enjoyed it. It didn't. Parts of it wowed me, but overall, it was good. I'll leave it at that.
You didn't give it a number? Oh, you gave it a palette.
Yeah, 1 out of 1.
Palette.
1 out of 1
okay.
miniature painting palettes.
The only better way to rate that is if he literally pulled out an eggplant.
I don't have any of those handy.
What are you making, by the way, Ross? I gotta ask. You got a paint palette. You got Tester's paint. What exactly are you building?
You doing a model?
Painting miniatures.
This is to get a good view on that. This is a Wolverine.
Yeah, it's getting all blurred up with your green screen.
Okay, hang on. Give me a second. Let me turn off my...
Put something solid behind it, like your
head.
Or I could just do that.
Green screen. Yay!
So...
And now he's in an interrogation room. That's great.
Hey, it looked a lot worse before I the wife and I painted everything. So you see all of that?
Oh, wow.
Damn.
He has a collection of miniatures.
Yeah, that's all my 40K miniatures. And up top, I can't really get it any higher than that, are my Battletech miniatures. I just got the Clan Invasion box, which came out, which it gives me 8 more mechs. So I've got quite a nice collection that I'm slowly assembling, painting, and hopefully we'll be able to have games.
All right. So that's a long way of answering his the metric for his rating of the episode. Let's see, Jason, did I get to you yet?
No, I would give it an 8.5.
8.5. Okay. Do you want to explain that at all?
I enjoyed it. It was fun. I love seeing Baby Yoda's reactions. Love seeing Timothy Oliphant. I think that the point of this could have been an episode last season. There wasn't anything really new other than at the very end where we see the the clone. Who that clone becomes, we'll find out. But I think we could have done a little bit more character building.
Agreed. I agree with everything you said, but I'm going to give it a lower 7.5 for the same reasons. I just don't think it went far enough, and it's kind of damning, I think, for this to be interchangeable with a season 1 episode. I just do. That's a big problem.
Well, I mean, the thing is they left season 1 with Moff Gideon getting off with the Darksaber. Like where is that?
Well, I'm sure we'll come back around to it, but I just think that the problem with going backwards, which is what I feel like they're potentially doing here, is that last year, once we got to that middle part of the season, I was like, oh, I'm really liking this show, but now it's kind of getting repetitive, and then it wasn't, and then they went down this whole series of episodes that just was one thing after another. It was just fantastic, and now. I guess maybe I had too much of an expectation that we would see those kinds of episodes.
Okay, I'm going to make a statement here, and I think Ross is probably going to be the only one to get this. Me watching The Mandalorian feels like playing a Metroidvania. There are great points of action and moving the story forward, but you keep going back to get items that you desperately need to move even further forward.
Yeah, no, I don't understand the reference, but I get your point, which I think is a good one. Okay, any last words on Sean? Yeah, Sean, you gave yours. Any last words on Mandalorian before we move to what are we watching? Last chance, going, gone. Okay, let's find out what we're watching this week. And this week we will start with Sunseal.
So this was there was a break the last week from VTuber D&D, and we came back to the lewdest episode of VTuber D&D ever, like ever. Sadly, Ross can attest to this because I showed him the clips. It was
a little behind on,
and it was great. Any episode that involves naked chicks swimming in a public fountain outside of a manor, and then having to dry off the mermaid, then having to dry off the mermaid so her legs come back, and then having a whole feet thing. Yeah, that's a great episode.
Okay, so that was your week, Ross.
That was pretty much my week.
Okay, Ross, you want to chime in?
This week saw the return of Cars with Faces, and as I speak about this, I'll show off a few of the minis. So naturally, the kiddo has been all over. He's been home for a bit. This is my Space Marine captain.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now remember, he's painted those himself.
Yes.
Right. No, it's impressive.
He's been watching a lot of Amazon, and there's a weird little car face show that I don't know the title to, but it's got a lot of fun little songs. And this is my Necron Overlord, Undead Android,
my favorite kind.
Just like that.
Yeah. So it's it's a really weird one. There's a lot of the algorithm favors a Halloween themed stuff, so it's all musical, cars singing to each other, reading from books, and one particular song is nothing but a song about a scary book that the singer is going to read to you, and it's going to make you feel all these things. A super scary book that I'm going to read to you, and it's just a song about the super scary book that I'm going to read to you, and not actually reading anything from the super scary book, except for one song. The first time I heard it, I thought it was about the super scary fart, until I actually saw what he was watching, and it was a ghost shark. And lastly, for tonight's showcase, is the Mackie. In the realm of BattleTech, this was the very first battle mech.
Nice.
All right.
I'll be painting that up within the
models and Cars with Faces.
You watched a musical about the Page Master movie.
Not even that, because at least Page Master had a story going. And it wasn't a movie about, hey, I'm going to read you this book and you're going to get scared. You're going to get so scared because of the things that are in this book. And I'm going to read this book to you and you're going to get scared. And you're really going to get scared about the things I'm going to read in this book to you because I'm going to read this book to you and you're going to get scared. And it just goes in a loop.
It's kind of like the prequel to the Never-Ending Story.
or the song that never ends.
It goes on and on, my friend.
Oh, I think I broke Ross.
That's two shows in a row. 2 shows in a row that we've broken the Ross. That's epic.
Hey, so we did break it.
2 shows in a row. 2 shows.
I'm sorry, Ross. I didn't mean to break you.
Liar.
Lamb Chops Play Along was a huge part of my childhood.
Oh my God.
And my sisters loved to torment me by singing that song over and over and over.
Well, because you can.
Over.
Folks at home, I'm sorry I broke Ross in front of your face. Justin, what did you watch this week?
I started watching The Expanse season 1.
You got a lot to catch up on, man.
Yeah,
it's coming in December.
I've been watching it, but I just
Is that whining from you?
It's a fire alarm.
Oh,
It
okay.
happens.
Okay.
I just want to chime comment before the end of the show.
No worries. Go ahead.
Take an hour to shut this shit off. But yeah, the Expanse, and then I've been watching, of course, Discovery, and what's the other show I start watching? Arrested Development over on Netflix. I decided to go through that one again. It's been a while since I watched it. But, yeah, other than that, that's been about it. No gaming for me this week, though, because, besides the Action Monitor blow up and everything else has happened this week, it's been kind of a busy week.
Yes, indeed. Okay, and Sean, what did you watch this week?
Still watching BSG again, but more importantly, I watched the sequel series. Was it the House on Hill something?
Oh yeah, Hill House.
Yeah, that's the one. And there's a one now. It's Bly House. It's the exact same fucking house, except for it's in England, and it's fucking terrible. It is so fucking stupid. And my wife and I have agreed that even the writers don't know what's going on in this show. It's that bad. It's so ridiculous and confusing. It's dumb and not compelling whatsoever. Don't anybody watch this ever.
The BSG reboot feature film, by the way, is still going. I don't remember. Did you?
We talked about it last week.
Okay, then I won't belabor.
What is it now?
But the Universal is doing a BSG reboot film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and apparently they brought in a producer or something. Oh, Kevin. No, who was it? Someone from Marvel.
He was the one behind the X-Men movies.
Oh right, I forget his name, but yeah, he was the one who did. Developed a lot of the X-Men movies, so that might be good, except half of the X-Men movies suck, but
they average out to be good.
They average out to be good, but they
have a better track record than Star Wars.
Yeah, good point. Not at the box office, but
wrong. Not wrong.
Okay. Have I left anyone out? Jason, did I ask you?
Not yet.
Okay, Jason.
We are now on season 3 of Doctor Who.
Oh.
Nice.
Wait a minute, of the reboot?
Of the reboot, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Season 3 of the real one.
You're now in the Tennant era.
Yeah, he's in the Tennant era.
Oh yeah, that's a long era, but a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, David Tennant is an amazing actor.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He had great companions.
I would love to see Tennant on Trek.
Oh yeah, everyone would.
Everybody would. Everybody would. As an antagonist too, he would be.
No. I want him to be captain.
Really?
Yes.
That's been like.
I would like to see him as an antagonist.
That's been a.
Oh, how about a rogue captain?
Ooh.
How about just
please,
an awesome
God,
captain?
no.
A rogue
We've had way too many of those in recent
past.
Maybe like a contemporary of Kirk, where you could be a little bit more roguish.
Except that we're 1,000 years past Kirk.
Unless you're talking about Strange New Worlds.
Oh, good point.
Or time traveler.
Shut up. That's enough time travel.
Enough time travel. Okay, so this week, the obviously Mandalorian and Discovery, but in addition to that, I've been catching up on actually a fun little series that comes out of England called Britannia, and it is set in I think it's the 1st century AD, just after Rome invaded the British Islands for the first time. And the British Islands, and they use a lot of rock music in the score, which at first is kind of weird, but it really kind of fits. It's a very entertaining interpretation of history. Obviously, only a little bit of it is historical, but they go heavy on sort of sorcery and magic, but not. It feels real as opposed to just fantastical. Like organically, it makes sense in the world as opposed to just and magic stuff happens. It's a lot more complicated than that, and requires a lot of work and doesn't always work very well. But it's got an amazing cast of characters. If you haven't seen it, it was originally on Amazon Prime, and I think you can still watch the first season on Amazon Prime. It's obviously a BBC, I think it's BBC co-production. It's made in England, but the second season was dropped by Amazon or not picked up by Amazon or something, but it's not on Amazon Prime. So for the second season, that aired in England either earlier this year or late last year, and the second season is being done released weekly on the Epix cable channel. If you have that, it's worth checking out. So that sounds good. Last thing I wanted to talk about is something to think about. Maybe we can explore this more in depth in another episode. But this week was the 2-hour premiere of This Is Us, and not usually the kind of thing that we talk about. But what was interesting to me about it was they actually, went all in on dealing with COVID and George Floyd and the effects on these characters of that, and which I thought was great. But there's been a lot of fan backlash that said, we look at this show as like an escape. We don't want to have to deal with real issues on there, which I think is completely antithetical to the show. But the bigger question is, do you guys think that the TV we should be, that's being made right now should ignore, or should it refer to some of what we're living through in a pandemic? And
remind me what This Is Us is.
It's a family drama on NBC that most of the world watches and adores. It's about it does a lot of jumping in time frames, from like 30 years ago, and actually even in the present. You see the same characters in different parts of their lives, and as these themes in their lives intertwine with one another. It's probably NBC's most prestige drama that's on right now.
If something is taking place concurrently, dealing with the events of the day is a natural part of that drama.
That's what I think too.
I hear that, but I mean, I also think that like we're at a point of fatigue that to have a show that are right, but
go ahead.
But This Is Us is also a very emotional show. Like the joke is that like you watch it to cry, and I'm not gonna lie, it definitely is it impacted me. I've had me and the wife watch it. We haven't watched last night's episode yet, but we watch it every week, and I don't know if people are ready to confront the reality of the life that we're facing in their entertainment yet, if that makes sense.
I hear what you're saying. I think it's irresponsible for art to not deal with what goes on in life.
Irresponsible, really? I mean, I think it's up to the artist, is what I think. I mean,
I'm not saying every artist has to do it, but the idea that you have an art form set in a contemporary world in which contemporary families are dealing with contemporary issues, and then you ignore two of the biggest issues that are actually happening, that seems to me to be like living in a fantasy world. And
it's kind of like in the years following 9/11, there was a lot of military dramas at the time, and
BSG was as big a beneficiary of that as any.
My thought immediately goes to shows like JAG, which didn't address what happened in the event, but eventually showed scenes of the Pentagon being rebuilt and highlighting the characters' reactions to what happened.
But that was, I mean, I would say This Is Us is already a very emotional show, and I get it. Like the writers, the people putting out the art want to reflect real life, and I get it. I'm just saying that, like, I understand that escapism, as we think about it, as entertainment as being as a form of escapism. I think that's the demand right now.
Well, yes and no, and we're getting plenty of escapism, but escapism isn't the only. We can talk about this more on another show. I didn't mean to go down a rabbit hole on it, but
really quickly, I'm curious. Let me just hold on one second. I want to say this about this. Why are we taking noisy fans on Twitter any more seriously about this than we do about Star Trek and Star Wars? I'm curious. Why are they?
Bingo.
Why they be giving their complaints
Because
about how it's showing?
because this is a show that's really beloved.
Yeah, it's a beloved show, and
So-
they're making some good points. Jason is making those
Star
points for
Trek.
them. I disagree with them, but that doesn't mean they're not good points and that we shouldn't talk
Well,
about
I
them.
mean, but here's the thing, though, is like the complainers are always the minority in all of these things. So it's like I just don't I don't watch the show. It's not my type of show, but at the end of the day, it's I don't I'm loath to question anybody's choice of what topic they want to dive into for a TV show. It's up to them. It's up to the
No,
producer.
I hear that and I agree with that. I'm not. What I'm saying though is that we are in the middle of probably the worst year of most of our lives, and wanting to get a little bit of a respite from that. Again, though, like I think the point that This Is Us is a show that probably would never shy away from that because of the emotional drama that's there. I mean, like this is a show that told you that the patriarch is dead, the patriarch is dead, the patriarch is dead, and then they show you then they kill the patriarch, and it was and I mean it was gutting. Like even though you knew that in the forward times he was dead, and so you knew that at some point you would see that, and when it happened, it was like, oh, that felt really bad, So I get it. I think, but at the same time, I also understand why this is a way for people to escape, and this is a time when people want to escape.
Well, and I think there's definitely a role for entertainment to play in that. I'm not sure this show is the place to do it. And also, look at the shows where we are seeing. They are the respite. I mean, take a look at Disney Plus. They're not dealing with with the pandemic there. They're not dealing with race there. I mean, look at Netflix. I mean, they have some documentaries about it, but all the shows are very much they were shot before the pandemic, so it's like what the world used to be like. And so there's plenty of places of refuge entertainment wise for people who are sick of dealing with the reality of the world. And to me, I feel like This Is Us is an exception, not a new rule. Unless
And the
it is a
reality,
new rule.
yeah,
I mean, it might be.
And the reality is that it makes shooting that kind of show easier because now you don't have to explain why everybody's social distancing, why everybody's wearing masks, why everybody is,
Yeah, no, they're dealing with that head on. Anyway, we can talk about that more later. I just wanted to kind of raise that and see if that was something you guys had some opinions about. What's that, son?
I wanted to make a point.
Yeah.
And this is something I look at a show like this and I think to cause I haven't watched it at all, and I've been kind of weary to watch it in the first place. I don't like shows that seem like they're going to push an agenda on people. And from the early marketing of this show, that's what it felt like it was going to do. And, when you want to bring something like what's going on now with the virus and the election and all this kind of stuff, you have to be very, very careful that you're not even further pushing that agenda on people, because not only will you turn them off, you can also radicalize them against anybody who thinks differently, even if it's just a small disagreement. And I think that is a very thin line that we have to be aware of in media.
I think you're right. I'm not sure this show is a legitimate target of that kind of criticism, but you'd have to watch it to really see. To me,
that's fair.
Yeah, no, and I think that kind of analysis or scrutiny on a show is perfectly valid. I think that's a good question to ask about any show. This show happens to have African American characters who live in the inner city, and one of them was adopted by and grew up in a white family. So racial issues are like front and center. And if it had ignored what was going on because of George Floyd and cops killing black people, it would have made it seem inauthentic, I think. And they're not.
Well,
they're
that
not.
and they
They're
would
not.
probably got
Let me finish.
much of a
They're not
backlash.
dictating what you're supposed to feel about it. What they're doing is portraying
Right.
what the issue is and what the effects are on people who are family members, but are also very different from one another. And
Right.
that
It's
is stuff that
basically
we're living through.
It's basically the core of what Star Trek has always done.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and plus, if they would have ignored it, they would have still had backlash for ignoring what was going on. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a double-edged sword. You gotta take the good with the bad.
That's why I said that. The notion of letting angry fans dictate your creative process is really antithetical to my perspective.
Don't forward your show or your whatever based on what Twitter says. Don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they've obviously committed to this. So
I mean, to be completely honest, I am of the perspective. I kind of feel the same way Justin does, in that it's like, God, I just don't need it. But then again, I don't watch that show either, so it's I'm not losing either way. But then again, I don't want to. I would never suggest sticking my 2 cents into somebody else's creative process. I think it's entirely up to them.
And the way I look at it, you're free to dislike something. You're free to like it. You're free to dislike it. But don't tell someone else how to do their thing.
I disagree with that. People should be able to give their opinions.
Well, yeah, tell them that they must do it this way or else.
I just don't like the. But that's what I agree with. That's what I'm with Justin on. That I just roll my eyes to this notion of we're gonna tell you how mad we are because of the show you made.
These are just reactions people are having, folks. I mean,
fuck these people.
Well, no, but again, though, it's knee jerk. It's people who, like, again, it's we live in very strange, dark times, for many reasons, and these are people who go to this show for some kind of emotional release, right? I mean, it's a super emotional show. Like I said, almost every episode is like to give you another reason to cry. Mm-hmm. And so, like, it's kind of ironic that the people who watch a show where basically you are emotionally exploited week after week after week are upset that they're using the contemporary issues. But I get it. I get that. Like, I go here to escape my problems. I go there to watch someone else have problems and not deal with my own. And to bring up COVID and civil unrest that we've had the last few months and all that stuff. I guess I empathize with people who would say, whether I agree with it or not, I empathize with them. Who would people who want it for escapism.
Yeah, I see that point of view. I just
think
it's weird to look at a show like This Is Us. The only point that I would disagree with what you said, Jason, is that This Is Us is not escapist in any way. Like, it's not an escapist show. So the idea that people look at it that way just seems weird to me, because they deal front and center with issues, conflicting, values and issues, and people don't go to escape that. It resonates with with what's happening in their own lives, within their own families, with their own kids and their partners and everything. It's for that very reason. It's not that they're trying to escape their own family issues. It's that they're learning how to deal with them by watching another family deal with them. That's not escapism in my mind.
I have a probable partial solution to this. If you want to talk about the virus in an escapist way while also kind of dealing with it, bring back Warehouse 13. And
I always liked Warehouse 13.
I did
and if you want to have a conversation about police conduct and brutality, bring back Eureka.
Right, bring back The Shield. How about that?
The Shield would be better.
Bring back Helix.
Talk about a show that's more relevant now than ever.
We should talk about Helix sometime.
7 days?
Oh boy, you're reaching back.
Okay, hold on, Justin. Here's the thing. there is no reason you don't even need a reason to bring back 7 days. 7 days should be brought back like right now. It doesn't matter.
I agree with you. I love 7 days. I love 7 days.
Yeah. UPN's gem.
7 days.
Fuck Voyager. You know.
No, their gem was Deadly Games.
I don't even know that.
I don't even know that.
That was the show that kept TNG actors employed with side gigs for about a year.
That's funny.
The video game developer somehow got his game crosswired with a nuclear explosion, brought it to life.
I hate when that
brought the characters to life. Christopher Lloyd was the big bad, his surrogate dad. LeVar Burton, Brent Spiner, a whole bunch of others were there as weekly villains.
Okay,
they had to do all these ridiculous video gamey things in order to vanquish the baddie.
Tell me the name of this again.
Deadly Games.
We should do a review. Here's what we should do. We should do a show where we do nothing but like a review of sci-fi shows from the 90s and UPN sci-fi shows from the 90s. When I say sci-fi, I mean sci-fi network shows.
Okay, like, you do realize it's me watching Sequest and Sliders, right?
Oh yeah,
they weren't on. They weren't on.
Well, where's the fun in that? We know about those.
Right, exactly.
Let's watch the
obscure ones.
Let's talk about First Wave. That was a great show.
No.
Let's talk about that.
25.
Let's that's actually a really good idea for a future show. Think about a show. Everyone pick a show from like the 90s, maybe early 2000s that you connected with, you thought was great, but was canceled and you think should be brought back.
That doesn't even count, dude. That was
90s.
But that was a premium show, dude. We're talking about like more obscure shows.
Lex
is a good choice.
Yeah, or
Lex would be a good choice.
Firefly.
No,
well, that's an obvious one. Yeah,
that's been talked to death.
It was sci-fi. Come on.
I thought we were talking about stuff that was on sci-fi.
Thank everyone for joining us.
Not just on the Sci-Fi Channel, but
we're skipping the Florida Man segment this week because we are over time.
Oh, yeah, everyone tired.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
we just hit 3 hours.
Fine. And the Axanar segment, I think we're going to be doing a little bit later this week, probably Sunday.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. The Axanar story.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got it.
Okay.
I've been in 3 hours.
Hold on, let me do a play out here. I'm tired. I'm sorry, I'm not on my A game today. It's been a long freaking day here. No, that's not it. Where the hell's my play out music? What the fuck is this?
Settle down there, mister. So while he's doing that, folks at home, program note, we will be back next week on Friday with Mandalorian and Discovery reviews, as well as whatever else we can cram in, because we just love talking about those two things so much. So join us back then. We'll be on again as usual at 9:30 Pacific time. Remember that this weekend is when we go back to standard time. No more daylight savings until the spring. So
God help us.
Enjoy your shorter days till then, and let me know when you have the music ready, and I'll stop talking, Justin. And sorry, no Florida Man segment this week, but we'll come back next week.
2 weeks with no Florida Man.
Oh, you guys didn't do it last week? Oh, wow.
No,
okay.
Well,
we'll have an election between now and next week, and my guess is some of that is going to have to deal with Florida Man. So
I got one story. I got one Florida Man story. Florida man who paid $150 to have a full contact experience got mauled by a black leopard.
Oh my god!
Full contact, man.
Right. Okay,
well, he got it.
My favorite part is Ross going like with the face palm.
God help us. All right, see y'all later.
All right, I gotta pee, guys.